Hello. Oh, I'm gonna start a poll right on the. Yee. Ooh, boo. Give me depression. Let's see. Anybody on the house? Uh, I'm hungry now. I'm hungry. Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay. Uh. Okay. I'll think about it when it happens. I'm tired. Tired like a brick. Hold on. Let me check something. Oop. Anybody here? Anybody on the stream? Oh, somebody liked. Hello. 4 people. How are you? Are you oh, Dr. Johns. Hello. I'm writing in the on the Telegram of someone. I have to, like, you know what I mean? This is a very nice person that I met on Telegram and we're writing. It's like, ooh. It's like, ooh. You know? And I have to send them something important. Like, boom, boom, boom. You know? You know what I mean when I say this? Do you understand my feelings? Okay, let's see. Video. Which one? Which one? Okay. How are you, Dr. Johns? I've done the deed. I'll be right back. I'll go grab a drink. Okay? Yeah. Uh, oh yeah, Dr. Johns. You tell me if you want um a game to warm up, or do you want game to warm up or politics right away? I will let you choose because you're the person that is here. Game to warm up or politics right away? As you can see, the White House is sanctioning the International Criminal Court because I guess the international law order is over, even more than now, even more than till now. Okay? It's been over before, but now it's even more over. Yeah, write in the chat. Game to warm up or politics? And I'll go grab. 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 What did you write? Political. Yeah? Oh, wow. I was sure that Dr. Johns would like a game to warm up. Wow. You always say that you want gaming streams, but now, okay. I did not expect that. I thought you wanted to warm up with some relaxation, but I guess not. I guess you're like, hey. I underestimated your power, Dr. Johns. I underestimated you. I have to get a Dreamcast thing and start playing Code Veronica. Do you know Resident Evil Code Veronica? Do you understand these things? The power. Aww. The good old days. Hmm. Oh well. Give me depression? Oh my god, really? You're kidding. Okay. I'm gonna give you depression. I demand depression? Okay. Where shall we start? Um, should we start slow or... Okay, let's start slow with some light news, okay? We're gonna start slow. We're gonna ease you into depression. So, as you may be aware, Russia is a place. That's the country that invaded Ukraine in 2022 and also invaded Ukraine in 2014. And so, as you may imagine, Russia is not 100% made out of drones that all agree with the war, all are pro-Putin, or all are even pro the system that exists, I think. There are certain people that actually oppose the war. But those people meet with a rather interesting fate. The classic Russian fate of being thrown out a window. That is a classic execution at this point within the Russian Federation. Let me sneeze. And so, this rather prominent musician, apparently a prominent musician, has been executed for opposing the war. Execution via falling out a window from the 10th floor. Russian musician who opposed war in Ukraine falls to his death during police search. Yes, that's right. The police was like, you're against the war? We're gonna have to search your apartment. And since you're such a jerk, now we're gonna get you and we're gonna see what sort of dirty secrets you have. And by the way, here's the window. That's basically what happened. That's what happened to a bunch of politicians, a bunch of soldiers, a bunch of business people in Russia that I don't even know. It's hard to say what they even did. Like Gazprom, the famous um, oil and gas corporation in Russia, a lot of higher ups in recent years have fallen out of windows as well. And their families, by the way. Full family window trips. So that's the tea. A prominent musician has died after falling from the window on his 10th floor St. Petersburg apartment as police searched his residence in connection with allegations that he had financially supported the Ukrainian military. So basically, if you're against the war, then you must be financially supporting the Ukraine, especially if you're a prominent musician. You've got a lot of money to spare. Hello, Lamp. So if you support Ukraine, I mean, not even support Ukraine, you're anti-war, then surely you must be supporting the Ukrainian war effort financially. Lamp, I've not seen you here for a long time, I think. So I'm gonna ask again, how did you find the stream? Are you here for the first time? I don't think you're here for the first time. I'm pretty sure I've seen your name here before. Your name feels familiar to me. Lamp feels like a very familiar word that I'm familiar with. So yeah, that was the accusation that the police and by extension the Russian government has levied against this man. You're financially supporting the Ukrainian war effort, which I'm pretty sure is a ridiculous accusation. I do not think that this man would have risked everything. Then again, even being anti-war in Russia is risking everything. Oh, nice. Thank you. Thank you for returning. According to the Mash Telegram channel, which is believed to have links to Russia's security services, Vadim Stroikin, aged either 58 or 59, according to reports, was under investigation for alleged involvement in a terrorist organization which is opposed to Moscow's war in Ukraine. Okay, so not only did he commit the crime of being anti-war, he allegedly was a part of a terrorist organization that opposed the war and was part of a broader organized crime syndicate that financed the Ukrainian armed forces. That's the summary so far. That this is where we are right now. This terrorist musician has decided to, for some reason, openly oppose the war and at the same time work for a secret criminal organization, terrorist organization that funds the war, which makes no sense because if he were to be working for an terrorist organization which opposes Moscow, why would then he go as a prominent musician and officially oppose the war? That makes little sense. But then again, I don't expect sense from Moscow or from Russia or in general those parts. Following Russia's 2022 invasion, the musician publicly criticized the war on social media, something that a terrorist surely would do, okay? In a terrorist organization that opposes the war. A stance that may have drawn government scrutiny. Fontanka, a St. Petersburg-based news website, reported that officers searched Stroikin's apartment in the Admiralteysky district on Wednesday as part of the criminal case. Stroikin was last seen alive when he went into the kitchen for a glass of water. Fontanka reported shortly afterward he abruptly opened the window and jumped. Yeah, that's totally what happened. He just went for a glass of water and decided, okay, time to jump. I'm dead now. It's all over. Time to jump. Not even worth continuing anymore. Okay? Not even worth continuing. Life's not worth living anymore. If I cannot be part of this cool band of misfit terrorists that oppose the war. Just jumped. Just decided to jump. The police did not help him at all, I bet. It has nothing to do with all the other cases in which people also mysteriously jumped off windows. Although the reports have yet to be independently verified, I wonder why. The pro-Kremlin tabloid Komsomolskaya Pravda said that a preliminary investigation was underway to determine the cause of Stroikin's death. Well, I mean, the cause of his death is that he fell out of a window. What do you mean? Like, what? Yeah, he fell. It says here that he jumped. He jumped out of a window. Isn't that the cause of death? He didn't die from falling out of a window? Stroikin was known as a bard musician, a genre that emerged after the Soviet cultural thaw in the 1960s, characterized by poetic and allegorical songs. In recent years, he dedicated himself to private guitar lessons, teaching from the same apartment where he died, reports said. Mysterious deaths. Oh yeah, such a mystery. Like, it just happens that a bunch of people mysteriously die in Russia from falling off windows. It's such a mystery. What is causing this epidemic of people spontaneously jumping out of their windows? Can you think of anything? Is it possible that you could maybe think of anything at all that would explain this phenomenon? Anything at all? Yeah? Anything? He fell onto a bullet. No, he fell into concrete. In this case, he did not fall into a bullet. It was hard concrete from the 10th floor. The death of Stroikin came the day after it was reported that 2 Russian colonels were involved in mysterious falls from upper floor windows. Maybe it's a pandemic. Maybe there's an epidemic in Russia of the window fall disease. Although this particular disease has been happening in Russia for years now, it seems like a really long standing disease that it does not seem that there's been a cure found quite yet. There's no cure for this rapidly spreading disease of people falling out windows. Probably got the woke mind virus from Disney. Bet they sew up. Who knows? There's so many explanations. There's so many possible explanations. Hello, Greater Rain. Like I'm scared because Kaliningrad, technically speaking, borders Poland, right? Poland has a border with Kaliningrad. So what if the disease spreads here and it turns into a pandemic? What if one day I go next to a window and I just fall down and die? I'll be victim of the window disease. The Windows disease. So yeah, two colonels died mysteriously. Colonel Alexei Zubkov, a forensic investigation specialist, fell 12 meters from a bathroom window. The UK's Mail Online reported, citing Telegram channel VCHKOGPU. Well, that sounds like a problem of design. You should not have a bathroom window. I don't have a window in my bathroom, so I'm safe. I'm safe from the disease, at least when I'm in my bathroom. He survived the fall and was taken to hospital. The Telegram channel added that Zubkov, who heads a department of the Russian Investigative Committee focused on studying digital information, was conscious after the incident but could not explain how he fell. See? Like a disease. It just happened. I was just next to a window, and before I know it, I was falling down on the ground floor. Maybe that's a solution to this um, disease, and that isn't just suicides. No, this is like that curse on The Grudge when the girl comes out of the mirror, but it's windows instead of mirrors. Just board up your windows. Easy. True. I guess it should be like in the, well, frankly, what Ukraine does. First of all, boarding up windows, and second of all, it should be like in the, you know, zombie apocalypse, Project Zomboid, when you board up the windows in order not to let the zombies in. I guess that's the cure. Okay, it's not a cure. It's a way to sort of manage the disease. If you board the windows, you cannot fall out of them. A second high-ranking official died when he fell from a fifth-floor window on the same day. So they must have met at some point, and they spread. They sort of, I don't know. They gave themselves the disease somehow. It's strange. I'm scared. I wonder what sort of virus or bacteria are responsible for this terrible, terrible illness. It makes people fall. Artur Pryakin, an ex-police colonel now working for an anti-monopoly agency, plummeted from a fifth-floor window in Petrozavodsk, capital of the western region of Karelia. Authorities were investigating a suspected suicide, reports said. Sure, I'm sure it was a suicide, just like in all those cases. True. A string of mysterious deaths of leading members of Russian society have occurred since Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. It has included oil executives and senior members of the military bureaucracy. So basically, what this article is saying, that just as the invasion started in 2022, by some strange coincidence, a disease also struck Russia. A highly infectious disease that makes you jump out a window or just fall down a bunch of floors, when a window's nearby. You just trip and fall. It's impossible to resist this virus. I guess I will call it the Windows disease. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner Group, a private military force that fought in many of the early battles of the Ukraine war, died in an airplane crash on the 23rd August 2023, 2 months after he led a short-lived rebellion against President Vladimir Putin. Well, technically speaking, it wasn't a rebellion against Vladimir Putin because he kept saying that it wasn't. He kept saying that it was against Shoigu or something and other people that he did not like in the government. he kept reiterating that actually he was super, super loyal to Vladimir Putin, that Vladimir Putin was still his best friend. So this article is not being completely truthful, and this article is not exactly um, reporting facts, okay? We should be taking this illness seriously. We should be taking this disease seriously, okay? It's like, it's really bad. It could spread to other countries. We must find a vaccine. Bless their souls. Hmm. Okay. Oh my gosh. So how are you feeling? Isn't it nice? No, I have an old camp song in my head. The window, the second story window, with a heave and ho and a mighty throw, we threw him out the window. True, that's like I guess that's the song of the Windows disease. Perfect. It's the perfect song for the Windows disease. All right. So what now? You excited? 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 Have I given you a perfect glimpse into? Do you feel depressed yet? Are you feeling entertained? And yes, I'm totally putting Windows disease on the thumbnail for this video. When we make it into a segment, we're totally gonna put Windows disease because this is ridiculous. The fact that the article is so neutral and says mysterious deaths, all from Windows. What could be the reason? Oh my gosh, what is happening here? All those people falling to their deaths without any explanation. What could be happening? Oh my god, nobody knows. Nobody could even fathom to guess. They don't have any more poison or radiation, so have to rely on all reliable, the window. Who are they? What is this conspiracy, Dr. Johns? It's a disease. Obviously. Are you implying that it's murder? Are you implying that all these people are getting murdered somehow? What are you saying? I just got back from a very weak protest at Oregon Capitol. You wanna call in and tell me about the protest? Call in and tell me about the protest. If you're not scared to call in. Call in, Lamp. Be courageous. I bet it was Satan. It was. Was totally Satan. Windows is disgruntled and rising up. It's time to switch to Linux. Maybe next time? Next time, I promise. Okay. I trust you, Lamp. I trust that you'll be here next time, okay? I trust that you'll not be like next time like Sasuke from Naruto. I'm sorry, Sasuke, next time. Boink. Oh, you're going again tomorrow. Okay. So I guess we can talk about it. Perfect. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I want to watch your video. Yeah. Where is it? Where is it? Trump. I should have this here, actually. I'll probably be going every day until something happens to make him less scared. Who? To make who less scared? Oh. Wait. Less scared of what's going on in the US? There we go. Trump sanctions the ICC. It's live.
Efforts by DOJ, the
Let's
Department
see,
of
there
Governmental
was a statement
Efficiency,
from Trump
to
himself
call the
about
federal workforce. Some
sanctioning.
are saying to gut the federal workforce. We'll be diving into some of those efforts and whether or not they are being successful with them. We'll have that conversation for you after the break.
ICC. I want to see the ICC.
Maria Cantwell, she just stepped up to the dais there.
1,000 visitors this Super Bowl weekend. Officials say they are ready, boosting
Super Bowl. By the way, our team has dropped out of the Super Bowl.
security.
Be responsible.
Pursuant to Rule 12, no debate is permitted during a vote.
Nothing yet.
Benjamin Netanyahu, Isaac Herzog, and others in the Knesset, are they warming up to this idea, or are they like some Senate Democrats there you just saw, like Richard Blumenthal, dismissing the idea outright as a non-starter? How is it faring in Israel?
Hi, well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show, Andrew. I would say
This
that
is interesting. I would think that Israel is all for clearing Gaza and building some strange thing instead, right? I would think that they're all for it in there. Right? Like, hell yeah. Let's do it.
you've got sort of a classic situation of the right and the left in Israel. And what I'm finding is that right-wing politicians are very warm on this idea. They say that it's out of the box. They're praising it.
Of course.
Minister Saar, Gideon Saar, said that this is a very new and fresh approach. And I think that the lawmakers on the
No, it's not, actually. It's not fresh or new. It's basically what Israel has been pushing towards with its military action all along. It already before it was saying that Egypt should accept Palestinians. How is it fresh or new? I'm home now. You can quit politics now for a game. Too late, okay? We're gonna do some politics. Maybe we'll take a break and play a game. We'll take a break when we're feeling adequately, I don't know, disturbed and depressed.
left have been a little bit less communicative about it. And I believe that the reason for that is because people are befuddled. This was so unheard of. It's
Oh, okay. So this is the state of Israel politics. The right claps, the left is silent. Great. No, so where exactly is the opposition to that idea in Israel? Where are the people that are opposing it? The right is like, yeah. The left is like, shh.
unprecedented, and no one was expecting this type of announcement.
Yeah.
Now, the lawmakers in Israel that are in line with the ideas of Trump, which we have the left and the right, it's a little different in Israel than it is in the United States, but we're seeing a lot of support from Israel's right wing for this.
No way, no kidding that the right wing in Israel would support this idea of ethnic cleansing of Palestinians and turning Gaza into a resort or whatever that is owned by the United States. The United States, I don't know, enclave
This idea.
abroad.
Okay, so you're saying somewhat that it's falling along partisan lines as would be expected in Israel, possibly here. You know, Jane, I wanted to ask as well. We've had experts and journalists on, like yourself, throughout the duration of this war since October 7th.
Yeah.
And what was such a premature question at the very outset of the war was, what would happen to Gaza after the war was all said and done? This idea was never in that conversation and was never in the mix here for those everyday Israelis who want the war over, who want their loved ones who are fighting in that war to come home, who want the hostages to come home. Do they see this idea as a distraction?
I don't know that people are seeing this as a distraction. I think that there's a lot of Israeli society that are very excited about this plan. And I've been talking about this on the Israel Daily News podcast, my show. I just released it right before coming on tonight. And I'll tell you that Israelis for a long time have felt threatened and unsafe by their Palestinian neighbors. Just Tuesday morning, there was a Palestinian...
Yeah, because Palestinian people have no reason to feel unsafe or threatened by the Israeli government, right? It's not like the whole city was leveled by Israel in Gaza, right? Maybe.
Attack at a checkpoint in Israel. Why are the checkpoints there? The checkpoints are there because Palestinians from the West Bank that are entering into Israel, whether it be for jobs or whatever their business is, are very frequently coming in with the intention to harm Israelis. We have so many terror attacks, and I talk about this a lot. People ask me if I'm relieved to be in New York, if I feel safer in New York. Well, that's a different discussion. New York City has a lot of street crime. Israel doesn't have a lot of street crime from one to another. There's not a lot of robberies. There's not...
Yeah, you know, missile strikes, street crime, same thing, same level of danger. It's like asking, hey, in Ukraine there are bombings daily. Are you feeling any safer in the U.S.? Well, you know, in the U.S. you have street crime, so is it really safer than being in Kharkiv that's bombed daily? I don't think so. I don't think it is.
A lot of rapes, but what we do have are terror attacks from Palestinians on Israelis. So Israelis are really excited about this idea, but there's also a population of the left that see how this idea is outlandish and it looks like an ethnic cleansing. And what the right are saying...
It looks like an ethnic cleansing. Only looks like an ethnic... Are you kidding me? Is this a joke? Trump outright saying we're gonna get the whole population of this area and we're gonna remove it and move it somewhere else. And we're gonna level the place and build something else in its stead. And this lady is saying, well, it sort of sounds like an ethnic cleansing. But is it really? Is it really? It just, you know, it may sound like one, but is it really an ethnic cleansing? Can we really call it that? I have to hear that again because this is so ridiculous that, God, people are so disgustingly dishonest when it comes to these things. You can have the whole plan spelled out, each step with excruciating detail, and yet a person will go, but is it really that thing that has been described to me without any ambiguity whatsoever? Is it really?
Is outlandish and it looks like an ethnic cleansing.
It looks like an ethnic cleansing. I cannot believe what I'm hearing.
And what the right are saying, Gideon Saar said that Palestinians who are voluntarily looking to...
No, it's not. Every single Palestinian, all 2 million Palestinians will simply leave voluntarily because none of them see this place as their home, of course.
To have a better life and looking to go somewhere else, it shouldn't be seen as a negative. It should be seen
as... Of course, I trust completely that the entirety of the 2 million of people just want to leave on their own accord and without any coercion. I'm sure there's no
Відбій повітряної тривоги.
I'm sure there's no coercion there.
The positive. And I think that the difficulty here is that Palestinians want to see a state for themselves, and Israelis want the lone wolf attacks to stop and the Hamas attacks to stop.
So, you know, what is taken out of the equation of this new
If
idea.
only there was a solution that would involve taking into consideration, you know, the self-determination of the Palestinian people, their right to self-govern, their right to have their own country, their right to have dignity and stuff like that. You know? Oh well, whatever. Who cares? That's a good question, Lamp.
Is the two-state solution. That has been U.S. policy for decades. They have supported that. Has never come to fruition here. Is there still room for that policy idea with what President Trump is suggesting here? I mean, are Israelis asking themselves, well, then where do the...
I mean, sort of, yeah. There's going to be two states. One state's going to be the United States of America, right? Because this Gaza is going to become a part of the U.S. And the other state's going to be Israel. And the Palestinians are going to be out there somewhere in Jordan, Egypt, and other places, dispersed. So, in a way, in a really weird, twisted way, yeah, you're going to have a two-state solution. So, yeah, you know what? I was about to say no under Trump, but actually, now that I think about it, yeah, that is what's going to happen.
Palestinians go. Egypt is not going to take them. Jordan is not going to take them. The Saudis are saying we will not normalize our relations with Israel but for a Palestinian state.
So I'll tell you this. There was a study that came out at some point in the midway of this war that talked about how the two-state solution is just not...
Yeah, Trump addressed this. Trump said, well, they say that they won't accept them, but actually, I've heard a lot of things. They're all incorrect, and whatever they say doesn't matter because, you know, it doesn't matter what they say. It's sooner or later they'll just agree with me, and what they say now is incorrect. That is actually what Trump said when it comes to Jordan and Egypt, saying that they will not accept them.
Not being discussed anymore, and how out of favor the two-state solution has become in Israeli society. And we're actually talking about left and right. People have forgotten about the two-state solution, and I'll tell you that the two-state solution was something that I think a lot of democratic Jews were looking for, and after October 7th, this has really shaken up. People are not feeling that with what happened on October 7th, that a Palestinian state is going to make it better. In fact, with more organization and perhaps a military to rise up, I think that Israelis across the board, and I'm not just talking about Jews, I'm talking about Muslims that live in Israel, Druze that live in Israel. If you don't know what that is, you can look that up, Druze. These communities in Israel are afraid of their Palestinian neighbors and what they would do.
I wonder which communities in Palestine are not afraid of their Israeli neighbors, okay? That's an interesting question.
If they weren't fighting like guerrillas. So I actually think that the two-state solution is in the past.
All right, Shanna Fold, we're going to have to leave
No,
it at that. Always
I
a pleasure. We'll definitely be speaking soon. Thanks so much for your time.
I disagree. The two-state solution is the future. It's just one of the states is going to be the United States. Next time a natural disaster happens, they should just tell everyone to leave because everything already been destroyed and it will be better to not live in such a hazard. Yeah, true. You're right. Everything's just rubble. And I bet everybody will like to leave and Trump can build an amusement park. Who's this?
Private data and over Americans'
Anti-Musk
taxpayer
forces pick up steam as Dodge works to cut federal work. Oh.
dollars.
Federal unions have sued to block Musk.
Hold on.
And now has
$2 trillion of Democrats.
This
Protesters
is
from
interesting. I wanna watch this. Fox. We're watching Fox. I wanna watch the Trump sanctions. Where's the Whatever. I want to watch the thing about Trump sanctioning the ICC. This is such ridiculous news. I mean, the right is clapping, the left is silent. Everything's going so well. Let's see about the protest.
This is what democracy looks like.
Protesters from
I smell a muskrat. Oh my gosh. Are you seeing this?
LA
No one voted for Elon Musk. I smell a muskrat.
This is what democracy looks like.
protesters from LA to Philadelphia want Elon
Uh-oh. Can this be that people do not like for the fact that an unelected dude just can go and, you know, take over the treasury payment system? How can that be? That's Dodge is a disliked group. I never saw that coming. Honestly, I'm as shocked as everybody else that these ungrateful protests would come to be.
Musk gone. Thursday morning, progressive Democrats demanded Musk be fired from his job as a
Okay, Grandma, time to turn off Fox. No, we're staying on Fox. We're staying on Fox. This is, I am amused.
special government employee tasked with cutting $2 trillion.
That is such a weird beard.
Democrats demanded
at
Musk
this.
be fired from his job.
Fired from his job.
Elon Musk gone. Thursday morning, progressive Democrats demanded Musk be fired from his job as a special government employee tasked with cutting $2 trillion from the budget.
An unelected, unaccountable billionaire now has seemingly unlimited powers over Americans' private data and over Americans' taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, you've got your taxes information is in the hands of Elon Musk now.
Federal
The top Path of Exile 2 player, by the way.
unions have sued to block Musk from getting access
What is this Matrix crap? What the hell?
to the Treasury Department's payment system, while other federal officials warn some of his moves may be illegal. But the president is giving him
No way.
his full backing.
He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the receipts.
Democrats
This.
may want Musk fired, but he wants as many government workers as possible to quit.
Elon Musk is helping us on it, and he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Thursday
Pretty good at destroying America.
night is the deadline for federal workers to accept a buyout that would let them stop working immediately, but still get paid for 8 months.
That could potentially have implications for
Make America great again by making a whole bunch of people unemployed and possibly homeless, because like where are those people gonna where all of those people gonna go? All of the people are gonna get fired realistically. Where are they just gonna find a new job right away? I'm not so sure. I think some of them are just gonna become homeless, to be quite honest with you, but we'll see.
employment conditions in the U.S. where we could see a meaningful uptick in the number of people that are looking for new employment opportunities.
As of Wednesday, about 40,000 workers had accepted the deal, but the White House is expecting
40,000 workers are going to be out of a job sooner or later. That's definitely not gonna create trouble.
a surge ahead of the deadline. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Caroline, thanks so much. And just an update there to Caroline's report. A federal judge just today blocked President Trump's plan to push out federal employees by offering them financial incentives known as these deferred resignations. The ruling came hours before the midnight deadline just today for workers to apply for the deferred resignation, which has been commonly described as a buyout, a federal buyout. The district judge there in...
So ridiculous. Make America great again by firing all the people who keep the gears of bureaucracy turning. True. Who needs bureaucracy? Who needs anything to work, right? If you destroy all the departments, then there won't be a need for anything.
Boston did not rule today on the merits of the idea. He scheduled a hearing for Monday afternoon. So essentially buying this idea.
Have you considered how much money you save, Dr. Johns?
Some more time here. What we want to do right now, though, is bring into the conversation our friend there at Barron's Ideas editor, Matt Peterson.
If everything goes to plan, the United States of America will work like Twitter. And you know that Twitter works perfectly, okay? It's gonna work like the social media of Twitter. And you know perfectly well that the Twitter thing is...
He joins me
X.
with
X.
the latest. And Matt, thanks for being with us here. I know you've been following all this very, very closely.
Maybe the United States of America need a rebrand as well. There needs to be an X somewhere in the name now. Write your suggestions in the chat. What should be the new name for the United States of America that would include the letter X?
I want to start, though, from the basics. You and I had a conversation during the campaign about the idea of Doge. And now we're seeing the actions Doge is implementing. Let's start, though.
Why are they pronouncing the thing like a Doge? Why not Dodge?
From the bottom here. Where does Doge get its statutory...
Why do they pronounce it like this?
...authority from? And what type of federal worker is Elon Musk?
Well, I think we're going to find out some of these legal questions as we go on here, because these judges are very interested. But Elon Musk is what's called a special government employee. It's a kind of temporary status that is used to bring in advisors to the government on a
Doge sounds so French.
temporary basis, and it makes it a little bit easier for people with complicated finances, someone like the world's richest man, Elon Musk, to help out for a little while. So Elon is, officially an employee of the government, but there are a lot of open questions about his remit and sort of what parts of the government he's able to access.
Yeah, it's just an oligarch, in other words. He's a rich guy that has a lot of control of things. Douche. That is the correct pronunciation, as much as I hate them co-opting the meme. United States of America. Thank you, Moho.
I wanted to ask this because, Doge is such a new...
Doge. It sounds so bad. Doge. It sounds horrible. I don't like this pronunciation. It sounds too French for my liking.
...entity. Do we have any idea how many people are working for Doge, where they have set up shop in Washington, how often they meet? Is it a 9-to-5? Just those basic questions I have.
We don't really have those answers.
Okay.
Certainly they're not coming from the White House. I've asked them, and they haven't.
So we don't know the structure of this unelected organization, who works for it, how many, etc. Oh, that reassures me so much. That makes me feel so good about this org. I keep feeling better and better about this whole situation.
Forthcoming on that. It seems people in the media have...
Hold on. I thought the whole purpose of this whole exercise of Doge was to introduce more transparency into the US government, right? To introduce more transparency into what's going on. And now we're learning that Doge itself is a big black box. We don't know anything about it. Some Japanese lady posts a picture of her dog online. The collapse of the American government. Like, this is silly. This is very funny that they're supposedly enforcing transparency, but at the same time, nobody knows anything about them.
Identified, a couple of dozen, a few dozen employees of Doge. They've branched out into different agencies. There's a Doge group at the Department of the Treasury. There's different ones at different agencies. And then there's Elon, who's sort of overseeing the whole effort. But I think that's one of the things that's driving some of this anxiety about Doge, is that we just don't hear a lot from them directly other than Elon's tweets. So it's not super clear exactly what they're up to.
So the only access to Doge, the information about Doge, is Elon Musk tweets. That is brilliant. That is, oh my God. I never thought that we'd live in a world like this.
So, to your point, if we don't know what they're up to, we are left with a lot of this reporting in great outlets like Barron's. And
the funniest thing is that their first action was to take down all the sites that had the transparency. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny as heck.
Others.
We're all going down. America's going down, and the world is going down with it. What's going to be left is Russia, Iran, North Korea, and China, I guess, because those seem safe from...
To tell us what they are up to and who is doing all of it here. And we've gotten some reporting about Doge's specific access when it comes to not only taxpayer information, but information on the federal workforce. Do they have the authority to access that information? And should they, if they have it?
Well, this is a
I
question.
mean, the answer should be no, but I guess we're living in a new brand world where, yes.
Specifically, that's going to get litigated. There is a court case ongoing in the DC Circuit
Oh,
over, exactly sort of what access they're allowed to have to
It's going to be a
federal
court
workers.
case.
There are privacy laws and cybersecurity laws
Okay.
that prevent some of this data from being made accessible.
All right.
I honestly, I don't really see what the point is of Elon getting access to lots of people's personal information. I doubt he really wants it, but we'll see. You know, what it seems like this is going towards is that he's trying to.
Well, I don't think it's just personal information. He's also gotten the access to the payment system. So the payment system itself. So technically speaking, Trump is giving him access to certain types of grants. Who gets it, who doesn't get it, right?
As much data as he can from the federal government so that he can do analytics on it with artificial intelligence. That's, he has a big AI project through his organization, XAI, and he seems to think that this will be a way that he can identify some inefficiencies in government.
Okay, so just today, 12 U.S. states in Connecticut, that's where they're originating this lawsuit, filed suit challenging Doge access to personal data contained within government.
I just heard a new pronunciation, Doge. Almost Dodge, but it's not Doge anymore. Now it's Doge. So I guess the pronunciation is shifting like the sands.
Payment systems here. I mean, have we seen evidence that Doge operators have accessed that information and have used that information to whatever end?
The Treasury Department and Secretary Scott Bessent say that they have not, they do not have access to people's information. There are a couple of people who are part of Doge who have the ability to review the system from the outside. We don't know much more than that exactly what they are allowed to do. So unfortunately, some of these answers are just not really forthcoming yet.
Oh, okay. So much for the transparency. Hey, what sort of access do they have? What can they do? What can't they do? Well, we don't really know. So there you go. I guess this just creates more questions than answers. The American people wanted transparency, and instead they get a shady organization that nobody knows what it does, nobody knows who works for it, nobody knows where it operates from, and also what sort of access they've gained. So, yeah, this is the transparency that all of you have signed for by voting for Trump. Although I assume nobody that watches me has voted for Trump. Apart from maybe one or two viewers that occasionally pop in.
Okay, so to your point that some of these answers aren't forthcoming yet, is that why?
Some. And by some, we mean basically none.
And I'm going to be pretty frank here, that Democrats have really set their hair on fire over some of these actions in the last 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, we don't really know what's smoke and what's fire here, right? There's a lot of...
What? That's bad. I'm sorry, Fox News. That's bad. That just means that there's no transparency. You know, the things that everybody's been screaming for.
People who are very upset. And, if Elon is like downloading everybody's social security numbers on a thumb drive to take home, that's not great, But it's not.
This is so ridiculous. The downplaying of the fact that the group that was supposed to, I don't know, further transparency, right? That was the whole point of the existence of this whole thing. Is not transparent at all itself. We don't know anything. We don't have access to any information. We don't have any answers. Because that's the state of the world that we live in. Convenient Estelle. The state of the world that we live in is depression, okay? We need the depression.
He really wants...
I'm like, everyone's so like laissez-faire about this whole situation. Like, oh, it was the same with RFK. If RFK is totally anti-vax, we'll see, okay? We're just gonna confirm him. And if he just goes against established vaccines, that's not gonna be good. That's gonna be pretty bad. And now this guy is like laughing, haha, if Elon Musk is just taking a bunch of personal information, that's pretty bad.
To do that, right? Again, this is the problem. This opacity, this fact that people just don't know means that anything that we learn about this seems like a scandal and seems like a huge problem.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is that this group was supposed to usher the new age of transparency But as it seems from your own words, we're not getting any transparency at all. We're getting the opposite of transparency, the actual literal opposite of transparency. We're getting anti-transparency, and you seem very happy about it. Like everything seems like a scandal if we don't know. Well, the problem is that we don't know, and we should, isn't it? Isn't that the crux of the problem? Isn't that the thing that everything sort of revolves around? They'll twist it so that it was never transparency they wanted. It was just efficiency, which is deliberately nebulous. The real scandal is the lack of transparency. I know! In this case, yeah, it is, okay? That this unelected group of how many... we don't know how many people. We don't know where they operate from. We don't know what they do. We don't know what they have access to. And this guy is like, haha, we don't know anything. So none of it is... We should not worry about any of it. The Democrats are just panicking and we don't even know anything. So it's all good. Like, what? What? Is this a joke?
Alienating people, unfortunately, that are going to be part of the government for a long time. Whether or not you like Democrats, it's hard to do a lot without bipartisan support and doing stuff.
Why is he so happy about this? This is ridiculous. Watching Fox News is an experience, I guess. It's like, it's this adventure island time. It's so silly. Who cares about transparency? We're triggering the Democrats. We're triggering them Dems. You're mad. You mad, bro? Are you mad, brother? Wait, hold on. I'm gonna have to watch this video later. Cut content? Brother, might I have some oats? Yeah. Destroying the government to own the libs. True.
Big picture fixing of government that Elon said he wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah, fixing the government by destroying whole departments, which, by the way, is illegal, by deporting U.S. citizens, by wasting billions of gallons of water, by deporting many, many people that should be by all, for all intents and purposes, citizens by now, by creating a very weird situation at the border, by destroying the Ministry of Education, the Department of Education. But I already said destroying the various departments in the government. Oh yeah, by gutting humanitarian aid all around the world. This is all so great, isn't it? Beautiful. What a beautiful new world we inhabit.
It's going to be really hard doing it just through the executive branch and just through one party.
So is this effort by Doge to find parts of the federal government to cut corners, to save costs, to decrease the deficit, decrease the debt, what have you here? Is it being done in an effective, systematic way? Or
we don't know, because we don't know what Doge does, do we?
Somewhat of an ad hoc, chaotic way.
Right now, it certainly seems ad hoc and chaotic. It seems like Elon said, in fact, that he got rid of USAID, the Agency for International Development, because he started looking at it and he didn't like it. Right?
Oh, wow, that's cool.
It's not a particularly systematic way to think about the government. It's not, the biggest sort of source.
I don't like it. We're gonna get rid of it.
Of costs for the federal government by a long stretch, right? So he does seem to have a plan here. He's, working his way up towards these bigger agencies. Maybe he's just trying to learn small and start there.
That's small. USAID is small. USAID that provides humanitarian aid to NGOs and organizations all over the world. The primary source of United States soft power. That's starting small. Are you serious? That's... Oh, whatever. Who cares about soft power? We all know that soft power has historically never accomplished anything. So you're right. It's starting small. Small potatoes. Like, Jesus Christ. What is this guy talking about? The confidence in which they spout the BS is just astounding. It shocks me to my core. Starting small and making it big.
But this
USA is just small bean.
The way that they're going about it, this one sort of agency at a time. That might be fine, except that he seems to be making enemies at every step of the road, and that's going to make this really hard when it comes time to kind of.
I did not expect to hear that. Destroying USA is just a small step, starting at baby steps towards something big.
Put all the pieces together at the end.
Yeah, of course.
The Fox chat is unhinged. What the hell is this TV station?
Doge was created by an executive order. That's where it finds its authority.
Destroying USA is just
here. But we're seeing these clashes now.
Can destroy America hard power without starting small with its soft power. True. Maybe that was maybe that's what was meant. We start by dismantling soft power, and then we're gonna move on to dismantling the hard power. True. Oh God. Oh boy. Fox.
Now, with Congress, with congressionally appropriated monies and funds here, that, from what I understand, some have been put on pause. And to your point, we may see this being fought in the courts for a really, really long time. I mean, we're just in week 3 of Trump 2.0 here. Are these the battles they want to have right now?
I think that's got to be the question Donald Trump is asking himself, because wasn't clear at the outset that he really signed up for everything that Elon is doing. He says that he supports.
This is, oh my God. Okay, we're done with Fox for now. I think we are done. We've watched a bit. We have, I don't know. I think we've entertained this for enough. And oh. Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Oh my God. I got a lot of Star Warsy stuff lined up here. There you go. Here you have it. This organization that nobody knows what it does. Nobody knows how many people work for it. It's this lack of transparency is actually refreshing and good. And even Donald Trump does not know exactly what Elon Musk will do. So there's no transparency between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, actually. So that's good. That's I think that's good news for everybody involved. Isn't it? Aren't you all glad that this is happening in your favorite country in the world? Oh yeah, I forgot. Let's see. Is there some exciting news I've got? My God. Crazy world that we inhabit. isn't it? Any thoughts from any of you? I'm gonna go to AP, okay? Up News. And in here, oh boy. Okay, we've got some positive news, okay? Finally some positive news because... Lucy, do you want a doppelganger in The Sims 4? Yes, I do. I've never dreamt of anything else than having a doppelganger in The Sims 4. That has been my dream ever since I've been little. Ever since before I even knew that The Sims 4 existed, I've always wanted a doppelganger in Sims 4. So a judge blocks transfers of free transgender inmates to men's prison. Via the executive order that Trump has signed, the only sexes recognized are male and female, and people have to have markers of their sex at birth in their documents, like birth certificates, passports, IDs, and what have you, right? This is something that has to be done like that. And so, it has been also ruled via this executive order that trans women will be transferred to men's prisons. Trans men have not been actually specified by this executive order, but you would assume that trans men would be therefore transferred to women's prisons, which would be that would probably in itself create interesting results. But so far, it seems like judges in the United States are already sort of kind of opposing the executive order by blocking transfers. Trans rights are human rights. A federal judge agreed Tuesday to temporarily block prison officials from transferring 3 incarcerated transgender women to men's facilities and terminating their access to hormone therapy under an executive order signed by President Donald Trump. U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth in Washington, D.C. granted the inmate's request for a temporary restraining order. He issued a written ruling several hours after a hearing where a plaintiff's attorney argued that Trump's order discriminates against transgender people and violates their constitutional rights. Which is true. All of that is true. The judge is presiding over a lawsuit filed on behalf of 3 transgender women who were housed in women's facilities before Trump signed the order on January 20th, his first day back in the White House. And I think we have a story about this lawsuit as well. Families and doctors sue over Trump's order to halt funding for gender-affirming care. Well, that's a different lawsuit. Trump's getting sued all over the place, actually. Trump's getting sued over the southern border. Trump's getting sued over the prison transfer. Trump's getting sued over the blocking of transgender care. So that's happening, okay? On January 26th, a federal judge in Boston issued a restraining order in a separate challenge to the same executive order. That order was limited to 1 transgender woman in a women's prison. Trump's order requires the Federal Bureau of Prisons to ensure that males are not detained in women's prisons. It also requires the Bureau to revise its medical care policies so that federal funds aren't spent for the purpose of conforming an inmate's appearance to that of the opposite sex. And this is where I suppose this little lawsuit comes in. Families and doctors sue over Trump's order to halt funding for gender-affirming care, which we may as well be talking about in a moment. This is what's happening. This is the reality that we're getting into. Making America great again by limiting people's access to healthcare, by denying their identity, by not allowing them to live the way they want, because make no mistake, this will not just end at trans people. Already pretty serious moves are being made to do away with gay marriage. And of course, let's not forget that the biggest conspiracy theory lunatic just became the head of the United States healthcare system. So when it comes to people's health, when it comes to the healthcare sort of outcomes, I'm having a more bleak view. I'm starting to be very skeptical as to what the outcomes are going to be for all Americans when it comes to living a happy, healthy life. Justice Department Attorney John Robinson said prison officials have broad discretion to decide where to place inmates. Moving the woman to a men's prison would jeopardize their safety and expose them to psychological harm, plaintiff's attorney argued, which is true. It is true. Like, if a trans woman goes to a men's prison, like, estrogen destroys your muscles, okay? Estrogen makes you much weaker, and they would just be abused. It would be basically like sending a cis woman to a men's prison. Guess what would happen? What would happen in such a situation? And then realize that the same situation happens with trans women. It's ridiculous. Also, what would happen if you sent trans men to a women's prison? Nobody is asking themselves that. Trans men are never discussed in these topics. Nobody talks about the trans men. They don't exist. Trans men do not exist in these conversations. Trump's order would disrupt the plaintiffs' access to hormone therapy for their gender dysphoria, the distress that a person may feel because their assigned gender and gender identity don't match. The medical condition has been linked to depression and suicidal thoughts. Lambert noted that there are only about 16 transgender women housed in female penitentiaries, including the 3 plaintiffs who sued in Washington. The judge concluded that the public interest in seeing the plaintiffs relocated immediately to male facilities is slight at best. Moreover, the balance of the equities and the public interest favor the plaintiffs, wrote Lambert. A senior judge was nominated by then-President Donald Reagan in 1987. The plaintiffs, who are identified by pseudonyms in court filings, are represented by attorneys from San Francisco-based National Center for Lesbian Rights and Boston-based GLBTQ plus legal advocates and defenders, also known as GLAD law. The plaintiffs were housed in women's units for months or years until January, when they were removed from the general population of women's prisons and segregated with other transgender women to wait transfers to men's facilities. So that's happening. They were terrified at the prospect of these transfers given the serious risk of violence and sexual assault that they face in these men's facilities. GLAD attorney Jennifer Levy told the judge. Plaintiffs' lawyers argued that Trump's order violates their clients' constitutional rights to equal protection of laws and to be free from cruel and unusual punishment. There's no way to keep these women safe outside of women's prison, Levy said. We're just asking this court to maintain the status quo. Robinson said the plaintiffs have been denied any medical care since Trump signed the order, and Bureau of Prison hasn't decided where to transfer them yet, he added. I don't want to get out ahead of BOP interpreting this executive order. So there you have it. Depriving people of their basic dignity and rights. That's the name of the game. And besides, let's not forget that Donald Trump doesn't really see prisoners as citizens of the United States because he thinks that they can just be deported. It's not enough that prisoners cannot vote in the United States. Now Donald Trump sees it fit to take people from prisons and deport them from the US. So there you have it. That's the future of that we are all moving towards. Are you excited? Are you excited for what's to come next? Oh, live, Trump and Netanyahu meet. Well.
And that's why the people of Israel have such enormous respect for you. In your first term, you recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. You moved the American embassy there. You recognized Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. You withdrew from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. I remember we spoke about it. You said, this is the worst deal I've ever seen. I'm elected.
Yeah, disastrous deal that kept Iran from creating nuclear weapons. What a disaster that deal was. We've replaced it with a far better deal. Oh wait, no. There's no better deal. There is no better deal. And Netanyahu is just not just kissing Trump's ass. He's licking Trump's ass, okay? He's French kissing Trump's ass.
I'm walking out of it. That's exactly what you did. And I think it speaks loudly for just common sense. Just looking at...
Yeah, common sense. I love it when fascists openly praise different fascists. I love it when fascists pat themselves on the back. It is my favorite pastime, watching one fascist praise another. Amazing. Good times we're living in. It's the best timeline.
Things and seeing them as they are. And of course, you also brokered the groundbreaking Abraham Accords in which Israel made peace with 4 Arab states. We did this in 4 months. Nothing happened for a quarter of a century, but in 4 months, we were able, working together.
Oh my God, he's sucking his dick so hard. I cannot believe. And all this is in the context of him praising his new plan to just level Gaza and ethnically cleanse everybody there. Like, I'm telling you.
Under your leadership, to have 4 historic peace accords.
Mm-hmm.
And now...
That led to nowhere, by the way.
Now, in the first days of your second term, you picked up right where you left off. Your leadership helped bring our hostages home, among them American citizens.
Your leadership? Wait, hold on. I thought that was the ceasefire that Joe Biden has brokered, but whatever. I guess that's not a thing.
You freed up munitions that have been withheld from Israel. They had been withheld from Israel in the midst of a 7-front war for our existence. And you just freed it. You ended unjust sanctions against law-abiding Israeli citizens.
Oh my God. Oh God.
Boldly confronted the scourge of anti-Semitism. You stopped funding, as you just said, international organizations like UNRWA that support and fund terrorists. And today...
I mean, he stopped funding all humanitarian organizations as well, all around the globe, starting immediately. So a lot of the NGOs are just looking at bankruptcy now. A lot of the Ukrainian NGOs that basically give relief to many people that have suffered from the war.
You renewed the maximum pressure campaign against Iran. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that now is free to make nuclear weapons because, you know, all that crappy deal that you just severed.
All this in just 2 weeks. Can we imagine where we'll be in 4 years?
No, I cannot. I'm actually scared to think what will happen in 4 years. I'm actually terrified, but thank you for reminding me.
I can. I know you can, Mr. President.
Yeah, oh God. Ugh.
For our part, we in Israel.
This is very dystopian. This is more than dystopian. This is... I mean, I already told you that we're about to get depression. So here you go. I deliver on my promises, okay? I am delivering on what I promised you, okay? I'm gonna give you what you want and more. I'm gonna give you what you bargained for.
I've been pretty busy too. Since the horrendous October 7th attack, we've been fighting our common enemies and changing the face of the Middle East. On that infamous day, Hamas monsters savagely murdered 1,200 innocent people, including more than 40 Americans.
How many innocent people have you murdered since then? Can you give us a number? Can you give us a number of how many civilians in Gaza have been killed ever since then? Are we gonna get that number from you, Netanyahu? Is that a thing that we can count on getting from you, or no, never? Huh?
They beheaded men, they raped women, they burnt babies alive, and they took 251 people.
Pretty sure the burned babies alive word was proved to not be true. But maybe someone can correct me on that. I'm pretty sure that was proven to be incorrect.
People hostage to the dungeons of Gaza. And after this worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust,
that's actually not true. This is not the worst attack on Jewish people since the Holocaust. There have been many big pogroms on Jewish people after the Holocaust, in Poland, for example, which I should do a whole thing about it, actually, because not many people are aware.
Iran and its henchmen in the Middle East were absolutely ecstatic. Haniya praised the massacre. Sinwar said that Israel was finished. Nasrallah boasted that Israel was, here's what he said, as feeble as a spider's web. Well, Mr. President, Haniya is gone. Sinwar is gone. Nasrallah is gone. We've devastated Hamas. We decimated Hezbollah. We destroyed Assad's remaining armaments. And we crippled Iran's air defenses.
And you also attacked Syria.
And in doing this...
And you also decided to do a little land grab after the fall of Assad. And it turns out that you had better relationship with him than everybody thought, and a few other things.
We've defeated some of America's worst enemies. We took
also, you were doing some shady changes into the court system before the whole horrible attack on the Jewish population. What sort of shoes do you wear? I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna show you my shoes. I'm gonna show you my shoe, okay? It's gonna be, for all of you shoe fetishists, it's gonna be a one-time opportunity to see my shoes. There you go. This is my shoe. This is what I wear. Ugh. Lucy feet pics when? When you donate $300. I'm gonna do Lucy feet pics, okay? Alright, that's my shoes.
Terrorists who were wanted for decades for shedding rivers of American blood, including the blood of 241 Marines murdered in Beirut. We accomplished all this with the indomitable spirit of our people.
How many? Let me look it up, because it doesn't feel like Netanyahu is very forthcoming as to how many civilians in Gaza died to date. How many civilians killed in Gaza? Let me see. As of 8th January 2025, over 47,000 people 45,936 Palestinians have been reported killed in the Gaza war. By the way, Israel has said that it will absolutely not pay the families of the volunteers that it killed in Gaza, that there will be no compensation to the families of the volunteers that have been killed in Gaza by Israel. Just saying. So that's just so it's clear.
And the boundless courage of our soldiers. The Bible says that the people of Israel shall rise like lions, and boy did we rise.
Yeah, did we rise? 45,000 killed. Oh boy, did we rise.
Today, the roar of the Lion of Judah is heard loudly throughout the Middle East.
Oh yeah, it is. And the bodies are stacked upon bodies. You're right.
Israel has never been stronger, and the Iran terror axis has never been weaker. But as we discussed, Mr. President, to secure our future...
Yeah, let's talk about this new plan. Like, let's not talk about all that bullcrap that you've been talking about. Let's talk about the bold future that you've got in store for us. Let's talk about the plan to bravely, ethnically cleanse the Middle East. Okay? Ethnically cleanse Gaza. Let's talk about it. It's time. I think it's time to discuss the plan, right?
And bring peace to our region.
Okay, good. Let's
we
go.
have to finish the job.
Yeah.
In Gaza, Israel has 3 goals. Destroy Hamas's military and governing capabilities, secure the release of all of our hostages, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. I believe, Mr. President, that your willingness to puncture conventional thinking that has failed time and time and time again, your willingness to think outside the box with fresh ideas will help us achieve all these goals.
Right.
And I've seen you do this many times. You cut to the chase. You see things others refuse to see. You say things others refuse to say. And after the jaws drop, people scratch their heads and they say, you know, he's right. And this is the kind of thinking that enabled us to bring the Abraham Accords. This is the kind of thinking that will reshape the Middle East and bring peace.
Yeah, I shake my head, I scratch my head, and I think to myself, maybe, just maybe, we should do some ethnic cleansing. Maybe that's the ticket. Maybe that is exactly what should be going on. The ethnic cleansing in the, in the region. I think that's exactly what should be going on. I think that's a brilliant idea.
We also...
This thinking outside of the box. The Fox News also described it as thinking outside the box. And the left is silent. Okay? Ever silent on the issue. Which is, I don't know. I am a bit perplexed as to what's happening. Okay? I'm a bit perplexed.
We also see eye to eye on Iran. That's the same Iran that tried to kill us both. They tried to kill you, Mr. President. They tried through their proxies to kill me. We're both committed to rolling back Iran's aggression in the region and ensuring that Iran never develops a nuclear weapon. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, Israel will end the war by winning the war. Israel's victory will be America's victory. We will not only win the war, working together, we will win the peace. With your leadership, Mr. President, and our partnership, I believe that we will forge a brilliant future for our region and bring our great alliance to even greater heights. Thank you.
Thank you very much, baby. Very nice. Thank you. Yep. He's been doing a good job. He's been working very hard on all things, but this in particular. We'll take some questions, please. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's go. Question time. Okay. I hope there's going to be some hard questions, okay? Israel's going to be their own Auschwitz for the... Oh, God. This is going to be horrible, isn't it?
President, can a normalization deal with Saudi Arabia be achieved without the acknowledgement of a Palestinian state? That question for you too, Mr. Prime Minister. And Mr.
Uh-oh, what Palestinian state? That ship has sailed. What do you mean, Palestinian state? We're gonna get rid of the Palestinians and we're gonna build a resort or whatever. It's gonna be, this is US land now. The Palestinian state is part of the US now. Have you been asleep at the wheel, Mr. Journalist?
President, given what you've said about Gaza, should the U.S. send troops to help secure...
Are you okay? You should keep up. Have you been living under a rock?
The security vacuum.
So Saudi Arabia is going to be very helpful, and they have been very helpful. They want peace in the Middle East. It's very simple. We know their leader and their leaders very well. They're wonderful people, and they want peace in the Middle East.
Wait, hold on. I want to listen to this again.
Very helpful, and they have been very helpful. They want peace in the Middle East. It's very simple.
Yeah, peace through ethnic cleansing, you know? Like, it's peace through strength has been the slogan so far, but actually it's peace through ethnic cleansing. That's the ticket. That's going to be the ticket to peace.
We know their leader and their leaders very well. They're wonderful people, and they want peace in the Middle East. As far as Gaza is concerned, we'll do what is necessary. If it's necessary, we'll do that. We're going to...
Oh my God! Spoken like that Chinese guy that, you know... this is wonderful. This is amazing. Spoken like a true person of the people. They're just going to be swiftly dealt with, I guess.
Take over that piece, and we're going to develop it, create thousands and thousands of jobs, and it'll be something that the entire Middle East can be very proud of. But
well, I maybe unless you're Palestinian, but who cares about that?
Everybody feels that continuing the same process that's gone on forever, over and over again, and then it starts, and then the killing starts, and all of the other problems start, and you end up in the same place, and we don't want to see that happen.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to ethnically cleanse the area.
And so by the United States, with its stability and strength, owning it, especially the strength that we're developing and developed over the last fairly short period of time, I would say really since the election, I think we'll be a great keeper of something that is very, very strong, very powerful, and very, very good for the area, not just for Israel, for the entire Middle East. Very important.
Yeah, very important that we ethnically cleanse these people, in other words.
We'll, again, have thousands of jobs, and there'll be jobs for everyone.
Thousands of jobs. What does that have to do with anything? Oh, how do you solve the conflict between Israel and Palestine? We're going to give 1,000 jobs to people.
Not for a specific group of people, but for everybody.
A lot of jobs for everybody. That will solve the conflict. Ethnic cleansing and jobs.
Okay, please.
I think peace
Please what?
between Israel and Saudi Arabia is not only feasible, I think it's going to happen. I think if we had another half a year in your first term, it would have already happened.
True. Many
No, it would not have happened. This is ridiculous.
more. I agree. Many more nations.
More dick sucking, I swear.
I think you can't prejudge and pre-guess how we'll achieve it, but I'm committed to achieving it.
Yeah, I can. From what you've described, I can go by your own words. Ethnically cleansing a group of people is wrong, okay? I judge it to be morally wrong, and just leveling the place and replacing it with some USA enclave is also wrong, okay? Like, I don't need the United States to be the second Russia, the second coming of Russia. Like, at least Russia's not as powerful as at least Russia's limited in what it can do. The United States that acts like Russia would be the last thing that I want for this world, okay?
I know the president is committed to achieving it, and I think the Saudi leadership is interested to achieve it. So we'll give it a good shot.
Well, then, if the Saudi leadership is interested in achieving it, then why did it retreat from talks when you've attacked Gaza? Answer me this. Riddle me this. If they're so interested. Why did that happen? I actually want to know more details of this plan of yours, of this brave plan. I'd like someone has to ask him, inevitably, someone has to ask, okay, you said that we'll do what needs to be done. What is that something? What is the something that needs to be done?
And I think we'll succeed.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, I love how I cannot hear anything that's being said.
Guarantees that ceasefire will go phase And Prime Minister Netanyahu, why are you refusing to set a national commission to investigate failures of
Well,
Uh-oh, I understood that part. Why are you refusing international bodies to investigate what's happening? That's basically what I've got from this.
I can't tell you whether or not the ceasefire will hold. We've done, I think, a very masterful job. We weren't helped very much by the Biden administration, I can tell you that.
What do you mean? The Biden administration brokered this ceasefire, no?
But we've gotten quite a few hostages out. We're going to get more out. But we're dealing with very complex people. And we are going to see whether or not it holds. We certainly want to have more come out. They've come out damaged in many ways, very damaged people. But they're going to get better, and they're going to be strong, and they're going to have a good life. And we hope to get as many as possible out. Whether or not it holds, I don't know. We hope it holds. We hope it holds.
I think that at the appropriate time, which I think will enable us to really investigate what happens, what were the causes of the failures, by an independent commission that will be accepted by the majority of the people.
What does that mean? What? And what does any of that mean?
Accepted by one half of the people and not the other. I think we should have it, and we should find out exactly what happened. I'm insisting on it. And believe me, it will surprise a lot of people when it happens.
What? That's not what was being asked. There was an ask about an international investigation, and that includes, 45,000 civilians killed.
Kelly, go ahead.
You are outlining something that is really quite striking tonight. You are talking about... Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister. You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there?
Oh, there you go. That's a good question. I like that question. Okay, let's go. Please answer so I can laugh at what I'm about to hear.
Redevelopment? And Mr. Prime Minister, do you see this idea as a way to expand the boundaries of Israel?
Oh, snap. Oh, snap. They're going to say, it's going to belong to the United States. It's going to be the jurisdiction of the United States. If the Israeli people want to go and get jobs there, they will be able to. And Netanyahu will probably say that Israel does not plan to expand its borders into Gaza unless Donald Trump graciously allow it or something.
And to have a longer peace, even though the Israeli people know how important that land is to you and your citizens, just as the space is inherited by the Palestinians as well.
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see...
ownership position. There you go. Already ticked one of the things that I said Trump would say. Long-term ownership position by the United States, by the way.
Bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken
no, totally not. Donald Trump is well known for not making decisions lightly. If precedent is teaching us anything, Donald Trump thinks about all of his decisions very long. It consults a lot of people, and there's a lot of planning involved, and all that crap.
Who loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction and rubble and demolished buildings falling all over. It's just a terrible sight. I've studied it. I've studied this very closely over a lot of months, and I've seen it from every different angle. And it's a very, very dangerous place to be, and it's only going to get worse. And I think this is an idea that's gotten tremendous, and I'm talking about from the highest level of leadership, gotten tremendous praise. And if the United States can help to bring stability and peace in the Middle East, we'll do that. Bibi?
I mentioned again tonight our 3 goals. And the third goal is to make sure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again.
Yeah, it'll never pose a threat because you're just gonna think, why didn't we do this with Germany? Our goal is to make sure that Germany will never pose a threat to the area again. We should have just ethnically cleansed all the Germans from Germany. We should have leveled Germany, and the United States should have taken long-term ownership of the land and turned it into a hub for jobs. For Polish people, for example. That should have happened. The Germans are so inherently violent. And sooner or later, we're just going to be... Look at what's happening in Germany now. I'm just being vindicated. AfD is on the way to win or something. So I guess the solution in Germany was to just, you know, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, why didn't we do this for Germany?
President Trump is taking it to a much higher level.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He sees a different future for that piece of land that has been the focus of so much terrorism, so many attacks against us, so many trials and so many tribulations.
Oh, yeah.
He has a different idea. And I think it's worth paying attention to this. We're talking about it. He's exploring it with his people, with his staff. I think it's something that could change history. And it's worthwhile really pursuing this avenue.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead. Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So before rebuilding Gaza again, obviously take out all the hostages, and one of them is John Alexander, an American soldier who is alive. How will you be assured that you will take out all the hostages and then rebuild?
We're working very hard to get all the hostages. The word is all, and we are working very hard. So far, it's been...
No matter how many Palestinian civilians we'll have to kill. In fact, if we kill more, it's going to make it easier for us to move them later, because there's going to be less people to move. So the more we kill now, the easier our job later will be. So that's kind of cool and good, right? Also, I'm going to go to the toilet. So in the meantime, try to bolster the numbers. I'm not happy with just 3 people, okay? I have ambitions to be the biggest 1 million sub streamer after all. Hold on. I'll be right back. I have this fascinating book that is about the ethnic cleansings of the 20th century, especially during World War I and forward. And I believe that if there's a new book coming that's gonna in the future be talking about ethnic cleansings, the big horrible ethnic cleansings of in our history, I believe this plan, if come to fruition, will have a prominent spot in a future book about atrocities committed by humanity, okay? This is my prediction and belief that if Trump pushes with his crazy out-of-the-box idea, it's going to be featured as one of the crimes of humanity in the future.
Moving along fairly rapidly, pretty much on schedule. I'd love to have them all out at one time, but we're taking them out, and tomorrow more are being released, and over the days more, and then we'll go into a phase 2. But we'd like to get all of the hostages, and if we don't, it will just make us somewhat more violent. I will tell you that, because they would
more violent, even more violent. So I guess 45,000 deaf civilians is just a cheap change now. If you don't get all this hostages, we gotta get more violent. You've heard it here. There you go. That's the. I just want world peace. You see, I'm the president that just wants world peace. Mr. Netanyahu, from one fascist to another, if we don't get all the hostages soon, I think we're just gonna get more violent, won't we? And Netanyahu's like, yeah, I'm waiting.
There were Mr. Witkoff and his entire group have been working 24 hours around the clock, and they want him out, and promises have been
more violent. That's interesting.
Made to them, and we'll see whether or not those promises will be kept. But we want all the hostages, that's right.
How much time do you think it will take?
Do you support, Mr. President, do you support Israeli sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, areas which many believe is the biblical homeland of the Jewish people?
Well, we're discussing that with many of your representatives. You're represented very well, and people do like the idea, but we haven't taken a position on it yet, but we will.
I really like the idea of creating country borders based on some biblical ideas. That's definitely how sovereign countries should be formed, okay?
We'll be making an announcement probably.
The Bible should dictate the borders of countries, I think. Yeah, that's definitely
very specific topic.
That is an amazing idea.
Topic over the next 4 weeks. Go ahead, please. Please.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. You just said that you think all the Palestinians should be relocated to other countries. Does that mean that you do not support a two-state solution?
It doesn't mean anything about a two-state or one state or any other state.
It does mean everything, because if there are no Palestinians, then there cannot be a Palestinian state. So that's a lie right off the bat. Of course, it eliminates at least one solution, that solution being the existence of a Palestinian state. Are you kidding me? What do you mean it doesn't say anything about any state solution? Yes, it does. It clearly does say that there won't be any Palestinian state solution. How can there be a Palestinian state without the Palestinians? Please tell me that, Donald Trump. Please answer this riddle that seems to be so incredibly complex.
It means that we want to give people a chance at life. They have never had a chance at life because the Gaza Strip has been.
Who deprived them of this chance, Donald Trump? Who has deprived the Palestinians of? This is ridiculous. This is basically like saying, God, I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not gonna even go to the various examples of people that were stateless, okay, and where you could just say, let's just relocate them, disperse them, and use this land however we want.
A hellhole for people living there. It's been horrible. Hamas has made it so bad, so dangerous, so unfair to people. And by doing what?
Hamas has killed 45,000 civilians over the recent period. Don't get me wrong. Hamas is an organization that does not care about Palestinians, does not work in the Palestinians' best interest. It is an anti-Palestinian organization, in my opinion. It only cares about itself. But it was not Hamas that killed 45,000 civilians. It was not Hamas that leveled the cities. It was not Hamas that has turned Gaza into an uninhabitable place, okay? Don't try to obscure the issue, Mr. President.
I'm recommending that we do. It's a very strong recommendation, but it is a strong recommendation. By doing that, we think we're going to bring...
A strong recommendation. Okay, so what if they refuse? What if the 2 million people that live in this area refuse to move? What if they refuse your very strong recommendation? What if they say, no, actually what we want is to stay here. This is our home. We want to rebuild. We want to build our own sovereign state here. What will you do? What exactly will President Donald Trump do in such a situation? Will he force them to move in the name of pushing his plan forward? What if all the neighboring countries do refuse? What if they don't play ball? What if Egypt doesn't play ball? Jordan, and all the other countries? What if they say, no, absolutely not, which they actually already have? They already said, no, we're not doing this. No way. What then? What if all the things that you think will happen won't happen, which actually is a pretty high probability that the Palestinians will not just all en masse abandon their homeland, and say, whatever, we don't care where we live, and that the neighbors will not just accept them. Hey Lucy, can I ask a random question not related to the current genocide discussion? Yes, you can, and I'll answer. Ridiculous, okay? Ridiculous, 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 and stupid. And I'm pissed. I'm pissed off, okay? Sure to go to a gathering, what would you wear? Get a fancy dress or go to a turtleneck? I think I'd go with a turtleneck. I don't have any fancy dresses because not many... Okay, I'm gonna use this as a nice way to... I cannot have a fancy dress because not many people view this stream and not many people donate. So I cannot afford a fancy dress or makeup. Do you see me wearing a makeup? No. It's because I'm poor. I'm poor as a mouse. That's my answer to your question. I'm poor and nobody watches. Because YouTube has it out for me. YouTube wants to get me. You're fine how you are. Everything can be affordable when you can afford it. I'm not fine the way I am. Alright, let's continue.
Perhaps...
I should at least have BB cream, okay? Do you know what BB cream is? It's this cream that has nutrients that take care of your skin. It's a multi-task cream that works as a nutrient for the skin, and also works as foundation for makeup at the same time. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because it's one of those things that is just healthy for the skin. It fills your skin with nutrients. You should look it up, BB cream. It sort of multitasks as a skincare product as well as a makeup product. That thing's actually not that expensive as well, so I could go tomorrow and get it and try to put it on stream, do a makeup stream. Yeah, you should get a BB cream. Honestly.
Great peace to long beyond this area. And I have to stress, this is not for Israel. This is for everybody in the Middle East, Arabs, Muslims. This is for everybody. This would be where they can partake in terms of jobs and living and all of the other benefits. And I think it's very important. It just doesn't work the other way. You know, you can't keep trying. They just has been going along for so many decades, you can't even count. You just can't keep doing. You have to learn from history. You can't keep doing the same mistake over and over.
Yeah, you're right. You cannot just keep doing the same thing. You cannot just keep not learning from history. Germany, sooner or later, just the radicals win. They rebuild an army. They invade other countries, and Germany is just there's no fixing Germany. Okay, look at AfD. Look at how popular AfD is right now. And I personally think that Germany should be cleared out. The Germans should be dispersed around its neighbors, and the United States should take ownership of the territory of Germany, what is now Germany, and it should build a prosperous zone where Germany is and sort of take care of the problem and give jobs to people. It would be great. I think that's the solution, because we had 2 world wars. We had wars before that, started by Prussia and then Germany. Now AfD is coming to power, and I'm just not sure if we're not going to see a repeat of history. So Donald Trump is right. We should learn from history and just, wherever there's a problem, wherever there's a difficult situation, we probably should move towards ethnic cleansing and US taking ownership of that territory. I think this is the there's a term for it, a final solution to the problem, I think. Yeah. There should always be a final solution to everything, right?
Again, Gaza is a hellhole right now. It was before the bombing started, frankly, and we're going to give people a chance to live in a beautiful community that's safe and secure, and I think you're going to see...
For those people that will have a chance to live in a secure community, it's not going to be the Palestinians, that's for sure.
A tremendous outflowing of support. I can tell you, I spoke to other leaders of countries in the Middle East, and they love the idea. They say it would really bring stability, and what we need is stability. Yes, sir, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. Are you still committed to imposing sanctions on the ICC, despite the move being stalled in the Senate? And please, a question for the Prime Minister as well. The President has been very clear about his desire to achieve a deal with Saudi Arabia. How do you settle this if Israel is required to renew the war against Hamas in the future?
Go ahead, baby.
I think everybody understands that just as the President fought and defeated Al-Qaeda and ISIS, that we can't leave Hamas there, because Hamas will continue the battle to destroy Israel. They'll do, you know, when in this temporary ceasefire, one of their leaders comes out, you know what he says? We're going to do October 7th again, except we'll do it bigger. So obviously, you can't talk about peace neither with Hamas or in the Middle East if this, you know, toxic, murderous organization is left standing. Any more than you could make peace in Europe after World War II if the Nazi regime was left standing and the Nazi army was left standing.
Yeah, that's great, but I'm so glad that you used this comparison, because the plan that you are proposing together with Donald Trump would actually mean that you would unironically have to, like, I thought that people would mock this comparison of mine to Germany, but no, he just made it directly. Netanyahu just compared the situation here to the situation with Germany. So, okay, let's go, let's compare. So, the equivalent of what Trump is planning would not just be destroying the Nazi regime and the Nazi army. No, it would be removing the German population from Germany, moving it to the neighboring countries, leveling Germany, and the United States owns Germany now. That's the equivalent. I love that Netanyahu said this. I love how he just said what he did. I just love it. Perfect timing. So, Netanyahu, tell me, should Germany be... It's not too late. It's not too late to free Germany of the Germans and for the US to take control before AfD takes over, okay? We can preemptively stop a disaster from happening.
You want a different future? You got to knock out the people who want to destroy you and destroy peace. That's what we're going to do. I think that will also usher in, actually, the peace with Saudi Arabia and with others. And I think there'll be others, too.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
As a high expectation from you. Do you have any plan to change Afghanistan situation? Are you able to recognize Taliban? Because I'm an Afghan journalist, Afghan suffered woman. Any comment about Afghanistan? What's your future plan for Afghan people, especially Afghanistan?
I have a little hard time understanding you. Where are you from?
Oh my God, is he deaf? I heard it. I'm sorry. I heard the question perfectly, okay? Afghanistan, what is your plans for Afghanistan? I'm an Afghani journalist, okay? Okay. Did any of you struggle with understanding what was just being said? Because I did not. Some big celebrity said something about how the Nazis at least tried to hide their crimes, But Israel just admits it to everyone with a smile. Yeah, I know. It's terrifying, actually, how the world has changed in that regard.
Actually, it's a beautiful voice and a beautiful accent. The only problem is I can't understand the word you're saying. But
yeah, you're an idiot, okay? I understood every single word. So maybe it's a senile old man problem that we're dealing with here.
But I just say this, good luck, live in peace. Go ahead, please. That's okay, yeah, please.
You said earlier today that it was tough for you to implement these sanctions on Iran, but you did indicate that you were...
Wow, smooth racism from Donald Trump. Oh, a question I don't like. Oh, sorry, I do not hear your weird accent. Live in peace. Bye. Bye.
Willing to negotiate with them. What would that look like, and are you in conversations with them? And the same for the Prime Minister.
I hated doing it. I want Iran to be peaceful and successful. I hated doing it. I did it once before, and we brought them down to a level where they were unable to give any money. They had to survive themselves, and they had no money. They were essentially broke, and they had no money for, as I said, Hezbollah. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for any form of terror, the 28, if you call it, the 28 sites of terror. They had no money for any of it.
Well, if that's true, why not just repeat that? Why don't just deprive them of funding so they won't be able to do it again? Why do you have to now clear out all of Gaza and ethnically cleanse up people that have nothing to do with it? A bunch of innocent civilians. Like, can you tell me that? Can you answer this riddle?
To do their own and focus on their own well-being. And I hated to do it then, and I hate to do it just as much now. And
no, you don't. That's a lie. That's the biggest lie that you could tell anybody. Come on, don't do that. Don't do that. Nobody buys it.
I say this, and I say this to Iran, who's listening very intently. I would love to be able to make a great deal, a deal where you can get on with your lives and you'll do wonderfully. You'll do wonderfully. Incredible people, industrious, beautiful, just an unbelievable group of people in Iran. And I know them well. I have many friends from Iran and many friends that are American.
I can't be racist. I've got Iranian friends.
Americans from Iran, and they're very proud of Iran.
How can you say that I'm racist if I have friends in Iran? That's impossible.
But I hated to do it, just so you understand. And I hope we're going to be able to do something so that it doesn't end up in a very catastrophic situation. I don't want to see that happen. I really want to see peace, and I hope that we're able to do that. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. I'm not putting restrictions.
Well, you did kill the deal that would stop them from having such weapons. So, yeah, that's cool.
They cannot have one thing. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if I think that they will have a nuclear weapon, despite what I just said, I think that's going to be very unfortunate for them. If, on the other hand, they can convince us that they won't, and I hope they can. It's very easy to do. It's actually very easy to do. I think they're going to have an unbelievable future. Yeah, please, sir, go ahead.
That means nothing outside of the veiled threat of attacking and destroying Iran, okay? That means nothing. Outside of the fact that you are threatening Iran, what does tremendous future mean? A future of existing? A future of not being destroyed?
You just laid out your plan for Gaza.
Yes.
Can you lay out your plan for Ukraine and also...
For Ukraine?
For Ukraine, yes. You consider yourself...
Oh, okay. Let's hear it. Let us hear if we're going to hear any details about a plan for Ukraine. Apart from it being, Ukraine must give me all of its natural resources and then I'll consider maybe helping them.
A strong leader. You blamed your predecessor for letting Russia to take over Ukraine. Will you demand from Putin to get out of Ukraine, from sovereign territory of Ukraine?
So we're dealing right now in the subject. I don't want to spend a lot of time because we're here for another reason, but we are having very good talks, very constructive talks on Ukraine. And we are talking to the Russians. We're talking to the Ukrainian leadership. It would have never happened. That would have never happened. It should have never happened. I get reports every week, the number of soldiers, mostly soldiers now. The cities have been largely demolished. You talk about a...
Yeah, and that's because the aid has been inadequate. Of course, we're going to ignore that little detail. We're going to ignore the little detail about how mismanaged, how bad the aid has been.
A very sad sight to see. We talk Gaza. Well, many of these cities look as bad as Gaza and worse. What's happened to...
Oh, so what should happen? Should Ukrainian people just be cleared out and what? What is your... We already heard what you feel about those cities that are leveled.
And I want to see that end. And I want to see it end for one simple reason, the life of young people being absolutely obliterated on both sides. You probably have 700,000 Ukrainian soldiers dead, 800,000, maybe more Russian soldiers dead. It's very flat.
Yeah, no, that's actually, those numbers are not correct. Casualties don't just mean deaths. Casualties also include the wounded. Let's hear those numbers again. Like, Trump doesn't understand or know anything about anything, and it's very disturbing.
Ukrainian soldiers dead, absolutely obliterated on both sides. You probably have 700,000 Ukrainian soldiers dead, 800,000.
Casualties, I've already said it. Casualty numbers include everything. Dead, wounded, okay? Missing in action as well. Not just dead. So that's incorrect, as well as the Russian number.
Maybe more Russian soldiers dead. It's very flat land, and the only thing that's going to...
He doesn't understand what casualties mean.
Stop a bullet is a human body. In this case, usually soldiers. And the numbers are staggering when you hear the real numbers in Ukraine, what the numbers are. And this doesn't include the cities that have been demolished and all of the people that were killed.
He doesn't understand what he's talking about. This is not the first time that he tries to build policy, that he tries to build future plans based on not knowing what he's talking about.
So I want to see it stopped. We're having very good talks, and I think we're going to get it. I think something will be, hopefully dramatically, it will rise above everything. You have to. You can't.
I don't even know where he took the 700,000 casualties to begin with, even if it's wounded and missing in action.
Just continue. You can't. This is an absolute slaughter that's taking place on the beautiful farmlands of Ukraine, and we have to stop it. We can't let this continue. It's a human.
Also, he didn't answer the question, by the way. The question was, what is your plan? And the answer is, we have to stop it. So, again, dodge. Don't give any details. Don't give any specifics, because I don't even know if he has any specifics. Suddenly, he started talking about resources, how he needs to be compensated, which predictable, of course, but we're hearing so many different plans, so many different scenarios that I'm starting to think that nobody actually thought this whole thing through, really.
It is a human tragedy, and we're going to try very hard to stop it.
Yeah, war is bad, and it needs to stop. Yeah, that's such an original sentiment. Nobody ever thought of that war is bad, people dying is bad, and it needs to stop. That's not the question. The question is, how will it stop? How will it end? What will be the peace terms? Will it be a just peace? Will Ukraine need to give up its territory? What will happen to the people in occupied territories? What will happen to the people in newly occupied territories? What sort of security guarantees will the remaining territories of Ukraine receive to discourage Russia from continuing this or just repeating this in the future? We have no answer to these questions, and we've not received any answers right now from Trump.
Yeah, please, go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Mr. President, what's your view about continuing leader Abbas' role in all the regional changes you want to do? And the question of the Prime Minister, what's your view on President Trump wanting to reach a deal with Iran and not a much more active military stance towards?
Go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
I think the president just said.
Did he just said baby? I'm sorry. That BB did not sound like BB. It sounded like go ahead, baby. I'm gonna rewind and hear Trump calling Netanyahu baby.
A much more active military stance towards.
Go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
See, sound like baby. Nobody can convince me that he did not say go ahead, baby.
I think the president just said something that I think is the pivot of everything that we're talking about. He said,
yeah, war bad, death bad, and we need to stop it. Such brilliant and deep words. Like, at this point, Netanyahu is just deep-throating Trump on camera, okay? If you really is gonna praise these words, these empty slogans that mean nothing in reality. And also conflating casualties with deaths, but that's neither here nor there, of course.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And we fully agree with that. If this goal can be achieved by a maximum pressure campaign...
Oh, wait. He's just gonna ignore the whole Ukraine thing that happened now.
So be it. But I think the most important thing is to focus on the goal, which the president just did, and I fully agree with him.
Oh, so one fascist's empty statement was basically just bolstered by another fascist's equally empty statement. Oh, what he said was brilliant, and I agree. Thank you. Well, what a constructive and fruitful press conference. We're learning so much. We're getting to know so much, so many things that we did not know before.
Said it, and he said it very well.
Oh my God, the circle jerk.
It's a campaign of pressure to see if we can get something done. He doesn't want to do what some people think will automatically happen because they're very difficult people to deal with, as you know. But if we could solve this problem without warfare, without all of the things that you've been witnessing over the last number of years, it would be, I think it would be a tremendous thing. Go ahead, please.
Do you have any plans to visit Israel soon?
To visit where?
Israel and Gaza.
Oh, well, I love Israel. I will visit there, and I'll visit Gaza, and I'll visit Saudi Arabia, and I'll visit other places all over the Middle East. The Middle East is an incredible place, so vibrant, so.
Oh my God.
It's just one of the really beautiful places, and with great people, and I think a lot of bad leadership has taken place in the Middle East that's allowed this to happen. It's just terrible. And that includes on the American side, by the way. We should have never gone in there a long time ago, spent trillions of dollars and created so much death. So that includes Americans. But yeah, I'll be visiting a lot of different places in the Middle East. I've been invited everywhere, but I will be visiting some, yeah. Okay. Let's go. Caitlin, go ahead. Caitlin.
Thank you so much, President Trump. Just
Caitlin,
to follow
go
up
ahead.
on what you were saying there.
Say it. Go ahead, please.
Just to follow up on what you were saying about the Gazans leaving Gaza, going to other countries. One, where exactly are you suggesting that they should go? And two, are you saying they should return after it's rebuilt? And if not, who do you envision living there?
I envision the world, people living there, the world's people. I think
the world's people, another meaningless statement.
You'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think
No, not international. It'll belong to the United States. I'm sorry, you already played your hand. You've already said that you see a long-term ownership of the United States in this area. So I'm sorry you cannot walk-see-back-see and say that it's an international area now. No, it's not. It's a United States area that maybe United States graciously allows certain types of people to come in. Like, let's at least be precise in that.
The potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable. And I think the entire world, representatives from all over the world will be there, and they'll live there. Palestinians also. Palestinians will live there. Many people will live there.
Palestinians will live there. Those that will be allowed, of course, because no right of return will be... It's already been said. Once we remove the Palestinians, they will have no right of return. Just so you know. That has been clearly stated. No right of return for the Palestinians.
But they've tried the other, and they've tried it for decades.
What is the other? What is the other that has been seriously tried?
And decades and decades. It's not going to work. It didn't work. It will never work.
I don't know what the it means.
You have to learn from history. History has, just can't let it keep repeating.
Yeah, you don't know the history, first of all. So how can you learn from something that you have no clue about?
Itself. We have an opportunity to do something that could be phenomenal. And
yeah,
I don't want
a phenomenal ethnic cleansing.
Be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad. This could be so magnificent.
I think you very much want to be a wise guy, and you want to be cute. You want to be a snake oil salesman.
More importantly than that is the people that have been absolutely destroyed that live there now can live in peace in a much better situation because they're living in hell. And those
Yeah, who created the health situation for them? Donald Trump.
people will now be able to live in peace. We'll make sure that it's done world class. It'll be wonderful for the people. Palestinians mostly we're talking about. And I have a feeling that despite them saying no, I have a feeling that.
Hold on. This is actually new information that I'm hearing right now. Okay.
That the king in Jordan and that the general president, but that the general in Egypt will open their hearts and will give us the kind of.
Oh my God. This is so. Yeah, they say no, but I'm going to pressure them or blackmail them or whatever. I'm going to threaten an invasion, maybe, and then they're going to open their hearts.
Land that we need to get this done, and people can live in harmony and in peace.
He's just going to easily move 2 million people. Does he know that there are 2 million Palestinians? Not 40,000, not 50,000, not 100, 2 million. How does he plan to do this exactly?
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yep. He's been doing a good job. He's been working very hard on
what was that?
all
what was
things.
That weird cut?
This and yep. He's been doing all very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yep. He's been doing a good job. He's been working very hard on all things, but this in particular. We'll take some questions, please. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Can a normalization deal with Saudi Arabia be achieved without the acknowledgement of a Palestinian state? That question for you too, Mr. Prime Minister. And Mr. President, given what you've said about Gaza, did the U.S. send troops to help secure the security vacuum?
So Saudi Arabia is going to be.
Hold on. Is this looping? It seems like this question has already been asked. What's happening?
Very helpful, and they have been very helpful. They want peace in the Middle East. It's very simple. We know their leader and their leaders very well. They're wonderful people, and they want peace in the Middle East. As far as Gaza is concerned, we'll do it once before, and we brought them down to a level where they were unable to give any money. They had to survive themselves, and we starved them like years.
White House in your second term. This is a testament to your friendship and support for the Jewish state and the Jewish people.
Okay, I think we've had enough of this. We've heard all the answers that we need, okay? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. What the hell is happening? So yeah. Let me see. Let's go to the next. As promised, Sniper Elite gameplay tonight. Well, I've been promised donations. Okay, Jesus Christ. Okay, you'll get your Sniper Elite gameplay tonight. I'm so hungry. It's downloading, okay? I'm downloading the game. You happy now? Are you happy with what's happening? Huh? There's been less viewership recently. Oh. Alright, let's go. Did you not eat? Not enough. Not enough. Oh yeah. The UN sounds the alarm over rising executions of Ukrainian prisoners of war. That is something that we need to talk about, and that is, we need to go back to the depressing news. I mean, all of that is depressing, considering that Trump just proudly and happily announces his plans to enact an ethnic cleansing in the Middle East and says that actually the Palestinians will love to. I don't have anything at home right now. The Palestinians will love to be ethnically cleansed. It'll be their pleasure to be ethnically cleansed. You know? Yeah. Hungry, angry bird. Okay? They say that the thing is, and it's like, and we're gonna go through it. Nice. What would you make? What would be the food that you would make? Is it baked beans with sausage and tomato? Is it the full English breakfast? Is it the full English breakfast experience? Read the look how nice these Jewish ghettos are part now. I mean, it is what it is. It's done. I've done all my responsibilities and duties. I'm performing. Oh, it's ready. Okay, so we're gonna do this and then I'm gonna fulfill my promise to Dr. Johns. Okay. So let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this thing. Okay? Let me check something actually. All right. Oh, I might as well. How do I? So, we've all known how the prisoners of war have been treated by Russia. We've all seen. Okay, maybe we've not all seen the videos, but the videos have been circulating of Ukrainian prisoners of war being executed, beheaded, of their heads being put on spikes. We know that prisoners of war are being tortured in the most horrible ways possible. We know that prisoners of war are being starved to the point that they return home during exchanges looking like prisoners of Auschwitz. Same thing happens to civilians, by the way. Civilians are tortured and starved as well. But right now we are talking about the prisoner of war situation. The UN Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine on Monday expressed concern over a sharp increase in reported executions of Ukrainian soldiers captured by Russian forces, calling for investigations into alleged war crimes. It's okay, at this point, it's not alleged. Let's be honest about that. Russians proudly film themselves committing those crimes. We've known this for a long time. We've known how starved and tortured the prisoners of war get. We've known about all of this, okay? The UN is, it is really surprising to me that only now is the UN waking up to the reality of prisoners of war being executed. Since late August 2024, the mission has documented 79 executions across 24 separate incidents. And that's just what the mission has been able to, you know, document. Although I will say that the Russians are doing a pretty stellar job of documenting the crimes themselves and bragging about them. Many Ukrainian soldiers who surrendered or were in Russian custody were shot dead on the spot, which, again, Russians themselves filmed those executions and are pretty open and proud about them. Like, some of these things we don't get through some secret recording that someone risked their lives to get. No, Russians themselves film it, showcase it, and proudly brag about it. While others were executed despite being unarmed or injured, the mission reported. These incidents did not occur in a vacuum. Public figures in the Russian Federation have explicitly called for inhumane treatment and even execution of captured Ukrainian military personnel. That's why even if they don't get executed and captured, they are deprived of food, tortured, and also sexually assaulted, just so you know. Said Danielle Bell, head of the mission. Combined with broad amnesty laws, such statements have the potential to incite or encourage unlawful behavior, Bell said. And that is part of a broader thing. That is why Russia loves the fact that Donald Trump became president. Because in a recent statement, I'm going to find it for you in a moment. I'm going to find the statement for you. Interesting source that I have here. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, okay? So we have it straight from the mouth of the bear, so to speak. There is a certain fragment that is of interest to me. I think he's the Vice Minister of Russian Foreign Affairs Ministry. And this illustrates exactly why Russia is so happy about Donald Trump becoming the President of the United States. Oh, there we go. The President of Russia has stated that we wanted a fair partnership with the West, which turned a deaf ear to the idea. Moreover, they never intended to listen to us because their goal has always been to maximally weaken their geopolitical rival by making use of the Soviet leadership's political myopia. Russia has stood its ground and has regained its place in global geopolitics, disrupting the Biden administration's plans to promote a liberal rules-based order throughout the world. Okay? A liberal rules-based order means basically that the world is organized by international law that countries stand by. Okay? Even though this system is flawed, many countries avoid completely listening to the rules of international order. A person like Trump is perfect for Russia Because Russia does not care about international law, Russia breaks it time and time again. For example, via the execution of prisoners of war, via using gas weapons, via interfering in other countries. Russia does not care about international law. And there's no better president in the United States for Russia other than Donald Trump, because he also does not care about international law. He is right now sanctioning the International Criminal Court. He is threatening other countries. He is a person that also does not believe in world ruled by international law. Okay? And this is evident by the fact that here the representative of the foreign ministry of Russia is praising Trump and attacking Joe Biden by saying that he wanted the liberal rules-based order throughout the world and to inflict a strategic defeat on Moscow in the hybrid war to the last Ukrainian. Right? And this I'm sorry. I'm lost. I've lost the plot. And by Trump, by plot, I mean the tab that I was on. I have to go back. Wait, where's the... Oh God, where's the damn thing that I've had? Where is it? Projects. Polish. Have I closed it? Have I closed the tab? Fails, falls, polls. Oh God, that's not good. No, I haven't locked the tab. Moldova, Trump. Oh, there you go. So that's it. That is what's happening. Russia wants to dismantle the international law order and wants to install the multipolar world order in which the strongest countries, the strongest poles will simply dictate the rules. Okay, there will be no international law by which everybody will have to abide, and they see that Trump will play ball in this sort of system because Trump also believes that the United States are above any type of international law, which was sort of already the case, but it was not so blatantly the case as is now. Joe Biden at least paid lip service to the idea of international law meaning anything, and Trump just does not do that anymore. And that is something that Russia openly likes very, very much. So yeah, potential to incite or encourage unlawful behavior. Russian officials urged executions. The mission's findings, based on video and photographic evidence, which was again created by the Russians themselves, as well as witness testimonies, indicate that these executions took place in areas of active Russian military operations. The Washington Post previously reported that Ukrainian officials said one of the worst instances of execution of POWs took place near the eastern town of Pokrovsk on September 30th. They alleged that 16 Ukrainian soldiers were shot just after they had surrendered. These instances of Russian public officials calling for such actions and multiple social media posts by military-linked groups approving executions were recorded by the mission. It's also documented that execution of a wounded Russian soldier by Ukrainian forces in 2024. Bell stressed that all such allegations must be investigated, stating military commanders and superiors should also provide clear and unequivocal orders to protect and treat humanly all captured military personnel and persons harassed the combat. I mean, I'm sorry, but from all the evidence that we have been given, Ukraine treats captured Russians far better than Russia treats captured Ukrainians. If they capture them at all, if they don't execute them on the spot. In December, the BBC reported that the Ukrainian prosecution service estimated at least 147 Ukrainian prisoners of war had been executed since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine began in February 2022. 127 of them in 2024. And there are also those prisoners of war that are unaccounted for, that were not recorded by Russians, that are missing in action, and possibly were just executed by Russians. All those who were captured and starved to death, because that happened as well a lot. And those who returned and looked like prisoners of Auschwitz, basically. Okay? Horribly tortured, starved to death, abused sexually. That is the reality of the prisoners of war captured by the Russian Federation. That is the reality of how Russia treats law regarding war. That is how international rules of conducting combat is being treated. It is very interesting to me that Russia in this regard has outdone the Nazis, since Adolf Hitler actually forbade the Nazis from utilizing chemical weapons such as gas in warfare, and the Russian Federation has revived this use against the Ukrainian soldiers. Gas is now back on the table when it comes to warfare, it seems. And we are witnessing with Trump's presidency the further erosion of international law-based order. Whatever semblance of even this sort of facade of countries respecting international law is starting to be undone. Because if we go to the White House site, whitehouse.gov, we see imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court, the court that is responsible for prosecuting criminals for breaking international law, for committing internationally recognized crimes, right? If enough evidence is found to be able to accuse someone of committing such a crime, in theory, the International Criminal Court comes in, trials that person. If they are found guilty, appropriate punishment is dealt. If they are found not guilty, then, fair trial and all, they are found not guilty. But that is something that the Trump administration, it seems, absolutely cannot abide by. And so, in retaliation for the International Criminal Court doing its job, the United States have opted to impose sanctions. But the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including the International Emergency Economic Powers, and those are lists all the powers that the United States president has. I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the International Criminal Court, as established by the Rome Statute, has engaged in illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America and our close ally Israel. This is about the arrest warrant against Netanyahu because of his, well, frankly, war crimes against Gaza. The ICC has, without a legitimate basis, asserted jurisdiction over an opened preliminary investigations concerning personnel of the United States and certain of its allies, including Israel, and has further abused its power by issuing baseless arrest warrants targeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant. So as you can see, any semblance of international law is being disassembled here, okay? If all countries are not equal in front of the international law, then the international law becomes worthless in practice. If a country can just say, no, we just don't agree, this accusation is baseless, we're not going to have a free trial over it, we're not going to review the evidence, we're not going to do anything, screw you, we're going to sanction you. Then any idea of international law meaning anything in this case becomes a joke. It's a joke. We might as well not have it if it's going to function like this, okay? If some of the bigger players are immune to it and can protect their smaller allies from being affected by it. What is the point of having the International Criminal Court if it cannot do its job? You tell me. If Israel can kill 45,000 civilians and the International Criminal Court says, hey, you've committed some crimes that you should be tried for. And then the United States steps in and says, no, actually, you're not gonna arrest Netanyahu. This arrest warrant is ridiculous, and you're going to be sanctioned to oblivion over it. Like, if any of this is to work, then first of all, there should be some instruments that an international law body would have to actually be able to enforce all the countries, including the United States, to obey the international law, which is not going to happen, as we are seeing. No such power will be put in the hands of an international institution, law institution. So that already makes it pretty toothless and worthless. And second of all, no powerful country will voluntarily just agree to be prosecuted for its crimes, which is why for the longest time, the United States was very hesitant to ratify the Genocide Convention. If an organization, an international organization, does not have the power to enforce international law, then international law is effectively worthless in practice, as we are seeing here. The United States has already said in the past that should the ICC arrest any U.S. citizen, the United States reserves the right to use military force to free that citizen from the ICC, which already undermined heavily the idea of having international law. And I personally think that it is a good idea to have international law. I personally think that it is a good idea to have certain rules by which all countries should abide. That there should be a set of laws, international, if you will, that all countries should be equal in front of. Okay? Not some multipolar world order in which the big can bully the small. Okay? Not some world in which there are just a few key players that matter in the world and all the other countries are just there to serve the bigger players. Okay? I believe, as things are, that we should have some sort of system in which all countries, small and big alike, would be accountable in front of. But it seems like this is just In the world that we live in, this is just impossible. This is just impossible to implement. This is just impossible to enforce. If no big countries are willing to play ball. And I assure you, no big countries will willingly play ball with something like this. Where have we left off? Netanyahu, minister. The ICC has no jurisdiction over the United States or Israel, as neither country is party to the Rome Statute or a member of the ICC. I actually have to check what is the status of. Also, it doesn't actually matter because I'm going to look into something, okay? I'm going to look into a few things. Is Israel... Did Israel... oh, by the way, Ukraine has ratified the Roman Statute. Israel signed the Rome Statute, did not ratify it. But, and this is important, okay? On the 2nd January of 2015, the state of Palestine acceded to the Rome Statute by deposing its instrument of accessing with the UN Secretary. So it seems like Palestine is actually under the jurisdiction of the Rome Statute. And this is actually relevant. Why? Because this means that the ICC can investigate the crimes that Israel is committing in Gaza. Okay? That is what it effectively means. In which case, it doesn't matter if the United States or Israel are party to the Rome Statute. What is important is that the place in which the crimes are taking place is party to it. Okay? And that is the case for Palestine. Okay? Also, that's not true. There were genocides before liberalism. If you think that the new Turkish government that committed the Armenian genocide was liberal, then I don't know. What to say to that? Let me see. The ICC has no jurisdiction of the United States or Israel, as neither country is party of the Rome Statute, so that is insignificant. That is irrelevant because Palestine is. Neither country has ever recognized the ICC's jurisdiction, and both nations are thriving democracies with militaries that strictly adhere to the laws of war. That's not true. Israel does not adhere to the laws of war. Actually, Israel, even the defenders of Israel cannot deny that Israel has committed a lot of negligence, a lot of war crimes, and has just killed a lot of, 45,000 civilians. No, Israel does not adhere by the laws of war. I'm not even going to go to the United States. That's a whole different subject. We're not going to be discussing today as to how much the United States adheres by the laws of war. The ICC's recent actions against Israel and the United States set a dangerous precedent, directly endangering current and former United States personnel, including active service members of the armed forces, by exposing them to harassment, abuse, and possible arrest. Translation: we are above the law. It's a dangerous precedent to think that the United States and its allies are not above the law. We are. The end. End of story. Nothing else to be said here. We are above the international law. International law for thee, but not for we. Okay? That's the translation of what is actually being said here. The malign conduct in turn threatens to infringe upon the sovereignty of the United States and undermines the critical national security and foreign policy work of the United States government and our allies, including Israel. This is a very important part. This malign conduct, so abiding by the rules of international law, threatens to infringe upon the sovereignty of the United States and its allies, including Israel, which is an interesting statement considering that actually the entire idea of international law is by design to infringe upon the sovereignty of the individual states, if you think about it, for a few seconds, for even a fraction of a second. If a country commits a crime, right, and is being prosecuted by the ICC, an outside international body whose job is to prosecute countries that commit crimes that break international law, then I'm sorry, in order to prosecute that country, people from that country, by the very definition, it necessitates that international body to actually undermine in some way the sovereignty of that country, okay? That is the whole idea behind the Genocide Convention. That was the whole idea when Lemkin created his Genocide Convention. The whole idea was the limiting of the sovereignty of the individual states, that they could not, as sovereign countries, just murder the citizens of their own state anymore, willy-nilly. That there would be an international body that would see it and say, hold on, you've just committed a genocide, leader of country X, and you're going to be prosecuted for it, sovereignty or not. So the sovereignty argument is really silly in the face of upkeeping international law, unless you don't really believe in the idea of international law. Okay? National sovereignty, okay, and international law do not gel together. If you want to have international law, then it should be above individual states' sovereignty. I'm sorry to say. It cannot be just, oh yeah, our sovereignty dictates that this international law does not apply to us. Thank you. Bye. So this whole argument is basically translation. We do not really believe in the functioning of international law. Okay? International law is something that does not apply to us. We value our sovereignty above it. That's it. Furthermore, in 2002, the Congress enacted the American Service Members Protection Act to protect United States military personnel, United States officials and military personnel of certain allied countries against criminal prosecution by an international criminal court to which the United States is not party, stating, in addition to exposing members of the armed forces of the United States to the risk of international criminal prosecution, the Rome Statute creates a risk that the President and other senior elected and appointed officials of the United States government may be prosecuted by the International Criminal Court. Translation: we will commit crimes, we want to commit crimes, we want our soldiers to commit crimes, and nobody should be able to prosecute us for it. We should be able to do what we want with impunity, and no international body should be able to prosecute us for it. We should be above the law. Thank you. So I guess this is a statement of we do not care for an existence of an international law that we would have to abide by. Pretty simple concept, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, as one might say. The United States unequivocally opposes and expects our allies to oppose any ICC actions against the United States, Israel, or any other ally of the United States that has not consented to the ICC jurisdiction, which again is irrelevant. Because what is relevant is what is happening on the territory of a country that has that is party to the ICC, okay? Let's give you a simple example. The war in Ukraine. Russia is not part of the ICC, but Ukraine is. Does that mean that Russia cannot be prosecuted for the crimes that it does within Ukraine? No, it doesn't. It absolutely can, because Ukraine is part of the ICC, okay? Ukraine has ratified the Rome Statute. And it doesn't matter entirely who does it, and if the party that does it is part of the ICC, it matters where it's done. And if it's done on the territory of a country that has ratified the ICC, then the party that does the crime absolutely can be investigated for it. That is the whole point, okay? That even the countries that are not part of the ICC should not be completely free to do whatever they want, wherever they want, even to the members of the ICC. Okay? Thank you, Greater Ain. So again, irrelevant if Israel and the United States have ratified the Rome Statute in this case. Completely irrelevant. The United States remains committed to accountability and to the peaceful cultivation of international order. Bullshit. I'm sorry, I will have to say that's a complete lie. The United States is absolutely not committed to accountability because, as stated above, you cannot prosecute any of our crimes. You cannot prosecute the crimes of any of our allies. That alone throws out the window any idea of any commitment to accountability, okay? And to the peaceful cultivation of international order. I can agree that the United States remains committed to accountability if it's not the accountability of the United States and its allies. And I can agree that the United States is for the peaceful cultivation of international order, if that order does not include the United States and its allies. It is as simple as that. It doesn't get it's not complicated. But the problem is that if international law is selectively applied to some countries and selectively not applied to some countries, then in effect it just becomes a worthless instrument. Okay, it becomes something that is worthless in practice. But the ICC and parties to the Rome Statute must respect the decisions of the United States and other countries not to subject their personnel to the ICC's jurisdiction, which means, translation, we respect the cultivation of international order, but we reserve the right to be outside of that order, consistent with their respective sovereign prerogatives. So, again, our sovereignty trumps international law, which, again, defeats the purpose of international law completely and utterly. It becomes useless. It becomes a joke. It becomes simply a empty slogan, okay, that you can just ignore. That is the reality of the situation. If countries put their sovereignty above international law, then the international law effectively means nothing. It is some of the basics of law that you learn. Like, I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna go there and take out. Let me see. I have it somewhere in here. Okay. I think I'm going to be able to find it fairly quickly. This is a book written by my grandfather. It's called The Elements of Law. It's supposed to be an entry-level book on law for, I think, high school to early university level students. Okay, that is a book that my grandfather used to write. He would create new editions now and then. Let's look, because there's something interesting. One of the first few pages. Read out something very interesting. The first page is. This is not my copy. My copy usually had handwritten dedication, like this sort of little handwritten message to me. This is my father's copy of my grandfather's book. So it starts with defining what a state is and how it relates to law. But there is something very interesting, okay? Law and its role in economy. If I don't find it, I'll just quote it from memory, because there's this idea, this incredible idea, believe it or not, that certain international laws, by their very nature, must trump local laws of certain countries if it's to work in any way, okay? Unfortunately, I cannot find it right now. This was actually as defined by the European Union law, right? Like certain countries are tied by certain treaties, and when they become part of those treaties, the laws that bind these countries become superseding above the laws of individual countries, right? And that is the same with international law. If the international law cannot supersede the local law, again, it becomes just an empty sentiment, worthless. It just becomes a joke. A joke that nobody should take seriously. Which is very funny that still the US, as it stands, insists on saying we are above international law, but we totally respect international law. Like, just say it. We don't care about international law. International law is a joke. The United States will impose tangible and significant consequences on those responsible for the ICC's transgressions. Imagine if this sort of logic applied in individual countries. I'm a very rich, powerful person. My relative has committed a crime. Oh, okay. You're gonna prosecute my cousin, brother, son, or whoever else for committing a crime? Okay, I guess we're going to have to deal with the courts now by dealing severe consequences for your transgressions against my relative. That's basically the equivalent of it. I'm sorry to say this is actually the equivalent of what's happening here. Oh, you're trying to enforce law? Well, there will be consequences. some of which may include the blocking of property and assets, as well as the suspension of entry into the United States of ICC officials, employees, and agents, as well as their immediate family members, as their entry into our nation would be detrimental to the interests of the United States. Translation: it is not within the interest of the United States to follow international law. I have to repeat it time and time and time again, okay? I think it's quite necessary to repeat this message that is being very clumsily smuggled in here. I therefore determine that any effort by the ICC to investigate, arrest, detain, or investigate even, okay? I therefore determine that any effort by the ICC to investigate, arrest, detain, or prosecute protected persons, as defined in Section 8D of this order, constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States, and I hereby declare a national emergency to address that threat. I hereby determine an order. So, first of all, it's not even just detain, arrest, or prosecute. You have no right to even investigate anything we do. You have no right to even dare to investigate, which means, again, we don't care about international law. We can commit any crime we want, any crime we deem necessary, and you have no right to even attempt to investigate it. It's pretty simple. It's as simple as it can get, actually. Section 1. All property and interests in property that are in the United States that hereafter come within the United States or that are hereafter come within the possession or control of any United States person of the following persons are blocked and may not be transferred, paid, exported, withdrawn, or otherwise dealt with. The person listed in the annex to this order. And this is actually very interesting because it really, really plays into what I just said about Palestine being party to the ICC. You see, if Palestine has ratified or is in any way party to the ICC, because you can actually accept the ICC authority even without ratifying. Ukraine has accepted its authority even before it ratified and allowed it to do investigation. Even if Palestine would agree for an investigation in Gaza, the moment the US implements its plan and simply takes over Gaza, well, that is no longer the case. As per Section 1, all proper interests in property that are in the United States or belong to the United States, in which case Gaza would belong to the United States, well, in which case the ICC is no longer able to investigate. Is it? Simple. It's very, very simple. Any foreign person determined by the Secretary of State in consultation with the Secretary of the Treasury and the Attorney General. A. To have directly engaged in any effort by the ICC to investigate, arrest, detain, or prosecute a protected person without consent of that person's country of nationality. A ridiculous ask, by the way. A very ridiculous ask. B. To have materially assisted, sponsored, or provided financial, material, or technological support for, or goods or services to, or in support of any activity in subsection A to A of this section, or any person whose property or interests in property are blocked pursuant to this order. Or C. To be owned or controlled by, or to have acted or purported to act for, on behalf of, directly or indirectly, any person whose property or interests in property are blocked pursuant to this order. B. The prohibitions in subsection A of this section apply except to the extent provided by statutes or in regulations, orders, directives, or licenses that may be issued pursuant to this order, and notwithstanding any contract entered into or any license or permit granted before the date of this order. Section 2. I hereby determine that the making of donations of the types of articles specified in section 203 enter sections by, to, or for the benefit of any person whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to section 1 of this order would seriously impair my ability to address the national emergency declared in this order, and I hereby prohibit such donations as provided by section 1 of this order. Section 3. The prohibitions in section 1A of this order include the making of any contribution or provision of funds, goods, or services by, to, or for the benefit of any person whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to section 1 of this order. So, no donations to the ICC, I guess. The receipt of any contribution or provision of funds, goods, or services from any such person. Section 4. The unrestricted immigrant and non-immigrant entry into the United States of aliens determined to meet one or more of the criteria in Section 1 of this order, as well as immediate family members of such aliens, or aliens determined by the Secretary of State to be employed by or acting as an agent of the ICC, would be detrimental to the interests of the United States. Again, we are above the law. Translation. And the entry of such persons into the United States as immigrants or non-immigrants is hereby suspended, except where the Secretary of State determines that the entry of the person into the United States would not be contrary to the interests of the United States. This is interesting because it says non-immigrants, which would mean that the United citizens that are members of the ICC can be forbidden from going to the United States, including when the Secretary of State so determines, based on a recommendation of the Attorney General, that the person's entry would further important United States law enforcement objectives. In exercising this responsibility, the Secretary of State shall consult with the Secretary of Homeland Security on matters related to admissibility or inadmissibility within the authority of the Secretary of Homeland Security. Such persons shall be treated as persons covered by Section 1 of Proclamation 8693 of July 24 of 2011, blah, 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 blah. The Secretary of State shall have the responsibility for implementing this section pursuant to such conditions and procedures as the Secretary of State has established or may establish pursuant to Proclamation 8693. Section 5. How many sections does this have? Like, I don't think we have to read the whole the whole thing. The point is, the United States are clearly positioning themselves above international law, clearly saying us or our allies cannot be prosecuted by international law standards. And that is something that Russia loves, actually, openly loves. That is something that Russia openly praises. That is something that Russia has openly stated is a thing that they've basically outlasted Biden, who at least paid some lip service to the idea of international law. Now Trump is in, and that era is over. Because, let's be honest, if the United States cannot be prosecuted by international law, then why should Russia abide by it? Even though, to be honest, Russia has not abided by it to begin with. But now, Russia has an official mandate to say, look, no, but none of us play by these rules. Let's be honest. These rules, this international law, this liberal law world order is useless. It's between us, big players. We dictate the rules, actually. We are the international law. Whatever we say goes. That is how the game is played on the world stage. Okay? There's no international law that everybody is equal. No, there are those with power that can wield it and execute it, and those countries actually dictate the law, whatever it may be. Whatever cruelty may be inflicted on others, it's okay, because if we do it, then it means it's lawful and it cannot be investigated, prosecuted, nobody can be detained, no international body has the right to do anything about it, because it is not in the interest of our sovereignty for you to investigate our crimes. That is basically the situation that we have swiftly found ourselves in. So yeah. How about that? Well, how about that? Isn't that awesome? Isn't the situation getting more and more interesting? Isn't the situation in the world getting more and more great? America is being made great again. Isn't it great? Aren't you just glad that we are inhabiting this timeline? I sure am. All right. Is there anything else that I want to do today? I think that's going to be it. So, who are we rating, Philippe Auguste? Tell me. Tell me. And we're going to do it. Oh. Alright, I'm just gonna rate somebody. Which com it is? No, maybe Icon. Riverboat Jack. Riverboat Jack, it is. Alright, I'll see you later. There's some things that I have to take care of, and I'm afraid that they may need my immediate attention. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.